What is going on, peeps? Thanks for coming back here for Setting the Bar at Dave's. And if you guys haven't heard, we're on several different platforms: Google, iHeart, Amazon Music, Pocket Cast, Anchor, and Spotify. There's plenty of different places you guys can find us. I'm also on Twitter and Facebook for Setting the Bar at Dave's at Smack Rat Studios. Um, so if you guys have any problems finding us, I'm at those places, and I've been tweeting out stuff daily and links on how to find me. Um, and today's episode, unfortunately, Dre was unable to make it. He had family obligations, which is more important than this. And today's episode, I had an old buddy of mine who was a bass player for a bunch of old, a whole different bands that were local in the Chicago area. And he actually had some, connections and was able to tour. And for a small time band as he was in, he actually was able to do some stuff, and we got into conversations about band talk and the musicians he met and the people along the lines and the deals and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of interesting talk about how it is to start and how hard it is to get signed as a band. So if you guys are into music, if you guys want to hear anything about it, if it interests you, tune in, because it's a good earload, and then it's a good thing at the end too, because we talk about how we're surviving today and investments and where we're going with that and how to make money work for you. So if it's something that intrigues you guys, stay tuned. You guys are going to love it. And without further ado, my buddy, the legendary Kelly Quinn.
Hear the music.
Okay, all you freshman punks, listen up!
We have sort of a problem here.
No, man, nothing is fucked here.
You cool, man?
I'm the dude, man.
Why should I change? He's the one who sucks.
What do you think of a person who only does the bare minimum?
The older you do get, the more rules are gonna try to get you to follow.
Ah, fuck it, dude. Let's go bold.
You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.
And it sets me up on like 6 different platforms. So I mean, I'm already set up on Amazon, Google, iHeart, Podcast, Pocket Cast, or whatever the fuck, and then Spotify.
So you're on the main ones.
Yeah, the ones that I want to be on. And then I got, for the video shit, I download the videos on YouTube. So that way I freaking broadcast and try to double dip on both things. Hopefully I get enough views on YouTube, you know.
How's it doing for you?
You know, I mean, I get the views, but I have to get, the only way to make money on this thing is to get sponsorship, which is hard to come by.
You gotta get a lot of views.
Right. And right now with 25 fucking episodes, I'm not going to get thousands and thousands of views like most of the people have. I got to get more shit out there. I got to get people in here. And because
all about content.
Right.
All about content.
And then the thing is, now that I'm a narrator, I'm a published narrator now, dude. I got a book out. I don't know if you saw it on Facebook.
No. Sweet.
But I'm actually on my second novel, and I want to talk to the author that I'm working with. I'm like, well, if you're ever in the Chicagoland area and you're doing signings or something, man, hit me up.
Can't you do this like remotely too? Like, couldn't you, if somebody had the same stuff, couldn't you talk to them here and they're in fucking New York? Like,
yeah, via Zoom, yeah, I can. I mean, I got to set it up to where I can hook it up with with my video.
Yeah.
So with the OBS program that I have, I got to set it up to where it'll capture the Zoom, and it's a process for me to hook up Zoom through this program to where I can record it on the show. So I got to get...
Because I saw, I don't know if you saw Andrew, he's been doing like music with...
Yeah, on Facebook. He's been linking up with people on Facebook. Yeah, I saw that.
Cool as hell.
I was like, fucking A, man.
That's cool as hell. Like, that's awesome. You just sit in your basement and jam, and some other dude's laying a drum track and someone's laying a vocal track. I mean, that all started back, it's been around a while, but he got really big during COVID. But, these are all signed bands that,
yeah,
one lives in New York, one lives in LA, and they're
right
fucking around online, whatever.
Dude, but Andrew's he's got the musical talent to freaking do that shit and do whatever instrument that anybody
cool.
needs.
It's really cool. Me and Matt saw him at Meshuggah. When saw Meshuggah.
Move that a little closer, would you?
Like this.
There you go.
When saw Meshuggah, like, I don't know when that was. September, I'm thinking.
What kind of music is that? I don't know. I'm not familiar with
Oh,
Meshuggah.
really?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. Meshuggah is like Swedish fucking just. You know the term gent?
No.
That's Meshuggah. Meshuggah invented that whole palm muting, just. And I mean.
Is it thrash metal or is it above? Is it like deep heavy? You know, like fucking.
I wouldn't call it thrash. I don't know what I'd call it. It's here. Hold on. I bet I still have a video from it. It's fucking cool.
Are you a fan of Volbeat? I don't know if we had that conversation, but
No, I am not. I've had that conversation with a few people. And
I mean, I like their
am
music.
not.
I really do like their music because it's Metallica-esque, but their lyrics are just, I don't know, they're off the wall. But I saw them live a few times.
yeah.
They kill it.
But the lights, dude, are fucking crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, Andrew was there when me and Matt went. There, see.
See, all that production shit, that's what I've been doing on the side, setting up. So I've been setting up lights and
Have you
shit.
been working with
Adam?
Adam?
Yeah, I mean, back and forth. I mean, since Adam's got a different job now, he's been, I guess Roger hooked him up. I mean, hopefully that pans out well. But yeah, I've still been doing that shit. It's good side cash. You know, you work 3 days a week and it's a quick, $1,100. You know, but yeah, outside of the people that we know, you and Kenneth are the only people that I know that have been on stage and did shit and fucking, Kenneth is a step above, but fucking, I don't.
Seventh Heaven had they have high end production, no doubt.
Are they still attracting the crowds that they used to?
I don't know, but I mean, their product. I remember talking to Matt because they got this big video wall of stuff, and I was like, I want that. And Matt's like, at least $25,000. I'm like, fuck.
Damn.
Right. So let's scale it back a little.
Can we get a projector with a screen?
So we had well, you saw the pictures I showed you. Those are 70-inch televisions,
Yeah.
LEDs, in road cases that you press a button, records the TV, plug in HDMI. It goes right into our laptop,
Yeah.
and we run the show from the laptop.
See, and now, haven't been on stage, and being that I went to the Volbeat show, I know you're not a big fan of Volbeat, but I'm a fan. I like their music, and it's like thrash metal. It's Metallica-esque. It jams. And there's a couple of songs on there, like, if you and I were to go to the show and we were on the floor, we'd be smashing somebody's head. It was that type of. It was they were putting that type of energy.
Rob
out.
Caggiano's in that band. He's the producer, and he used to be in Anthrax. I mean,
But the whole production of it all, like the lights, the background, the whole scenery and everything was it was a metal show. I was like, yeah, they better. And he was building it up, waiting for I'm waiting for the people on the floor to fucking go. And what do you see? You just see kids in their phones, doing this, up and around. Did that discourage you while you're on stage?
No.
I mean, if you were in a heavy metal band.
Well, it depends what band you're talking about. Because what I was going to say is when I went with Riley, so Riley and Matt and Asher, we all went to see Lamb of God and Killswitch Engage at the Aragon. And I told him, Lamb of God's about to start.
Don't tell your mother what you saw here.
No, like she knew what was that. I'm like, Lamb of God. Well, you got to remember, man. His first concert was Metallica.
Yeah.
His second concert was Korn. Asher was with him in that one.
Yeah.
His third concert was Slipknot.
Okay.
His fourth concert was Rage Against the Machine. And then I said, Lamb of God and Killswitch was not supposed to be the Aragon. It was supposed to be somewhere else, and they moved it. And me and Matt, I'm like, holy shit, boys, you're going to the brawl room. And anyway, Lamb of God opened with Memento Mori, like they always do. And I told him, he's standing right here. I'm like, the pit's going to be right there. I go, when the curtain drops, I'm like,
just watch.
I'm like, it's going to be right here. So like, I'll step in front, no one's gonna fuck me up, but I'll step in front of you, and I would, bow, and it just everyone's pushing, and I just kind of held him back here, and then eventually he was watching, and he's just there he goes, and I'm like, all right, and
He went out there?
fuck yeah, he did.
Wow.
He body surfed, jumped off stage. I have a video of it. They pushed him over the ledge, so I went to the the bar area, and they kind of came out there, and this is during Killswitch Engage. That's the guitar player happened to come off stage to do a solo over by the bar. Me and Riley are there. I got a video of guitar player Adam just fucking jamming with Riley right there.
That's awesome, dude.
And then
Hell yeah.
the end of Lamb of God, I tried to put him up, and I don't know, the fucking security guards being dicks, like no body surf, and but the drummer saw that. The drummer saw us trying to push Riley up.
Yeah.
Riley will be 15, but he looks like he's 10.
Yeah.
He's little.
Yeah.
And the drummer points at him, and security sees him, and everyone grabs Riley and throws him basically over the thing. And the guitar player jumps down, or the drummer jumps down and hands him a drumstick.
Nice.
So I'm like, dude. Like, what the fuck just happened,
Wow,
man?
dude. Only your kids does that happen. To
Yeah,
us, we'd be
right.
thrown in jail.
Right,
You know.
Like, dude, this is unbelievable.
Well, at least you're bringing them up right, like we used to, man. I mean, I remember going to the House of Blues at the Anthrax show.
We're same crew, Pantera and Metallica.
Yeah, I saw that.
On
The
the floor.
Terrible Four or whatever the fuck, the big four of the thrash metal is getting back together.
Well, it's Pantera.
Metallica, Megadeth, and Anthrax, right?
No, it's Pantera with that Van Halen band, Wolfgang's band.
Really? His son?
Yeah, that's the openers, and then Metallica. And then the second night is, I forget, Five Finger Death Punch and Metallica. Metallica says they're playing 2 separate sets each night.
Really?
So the package was I bought both nights.
Yeah. Five Finger Death Punch is all right.
No.
They're not.
I'm not a fan.
Neither am I, but it's not like, all right. Well,
They're like, I don't know, they're like rock and roll metal, or like, I don't know, just not.
like glam metal.
Yeah, ain't my thing.
I mean, they put on a good show, but meh.
They're more like the mainstream, like, I don't know, it reminds me of like boy band metal. Like all these bands that came together. I mean, we would talk stuff about like, going back to the emo stuff, like back when we were doing original stuff with Torn, right? I remember when Linkin Park came out. And believe it or not, Linkin Park came out just after Torn broke up. Early 2000s.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's already bands that were badass that are considered emo, like Unearth and they're more hardcore, or what do they call it?
Now, see, even when you were with Torn, I feel like you guys were ahead of the time with that kind of music. I mean, I know Joe was the front man, but he had a great voice. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And he had unbelievable stage fright, and you know how he dealt with that. And it ended up being
Still
a
deals
catastrophe.
with it that way.
Yeah, and it ended up being a catastrophe. In the end of it.
Yeah, if we would have actually, Matt and I talked about this since we've been out, like you said, kind of at least a level or two above where we were for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Meeting a lot more people and talking about it. Like, I don't think there's any doubt that we would have been signed to something, but the deals that were coming out back then, it was going to be fucking garbage. It was going to be, a 1-album deal with fucking, here's a van, good luck.
With royalty shares or some shit.
Yeah, it was going to be absolute crap. Like, there's a book that came out that you'd like, look it up. It's called Sellout.
Sellout. And
Sellout was about all these bands that came out in that era, like late 90s, early 2000s. Bands like Coheed and Cambria are in there. My Chemical Romance is in it. Some other bands that aren't, but those are the big ones. Jawbreaker. But anyway, they talk about how the music industry really, Green Day is actually in it too, but Green Day was like one of the last big.
But they were like West Coast punk.
Yeah, but they were. It's all about the way that the way that the music industry was finding bands and how they were putting money into bands, like not like in the 70s. In the 70s, you could get signed, and they would let you have a couple albums to figure your shit out.
Right.
By the time the 90s rolled around, man,
well, it's probably because all the marketing that goes into trying to publicize that band.
Yeah, if you don't deliver at that first show or that first album, if the record sales aren't there,
yeah, what are you gonna do?
You're gonna get dropped pretty quick. Yeah. And then when you get dropped, your marketing machine is gone. In Sellout, there's a band. Oh, I wish I could remember the name of the band, but they were supposed to be the next big thing, and they put, just shit tons of money into like videos and spent like, I don't know, $4 million.
Yeah.
Well, when they got dropped, guess who's owes $4 million?
Yeah. How are they going to work that off?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the industry just changed a lot. But point is, when Torn was going, my opinion, we were going to be I don't think we were pushing the envelope enough. So what I was talking about with Linkin Park, right? So when we broke up, Linkin Park came, and not that I'm a big Linkin Park fan, but it was different. They were definitely doing something different and brought it mainstream. Now, we can all argue Anthrax did it first, right? With the rapping, with Public Enemy.
Right.
Beastie Boys had some...
I think they paved the way, Beastie Boys.
And Rage, right?
Yeah.
Like, those are the bands that were doing that, right? But bands like Linkin Park were really mainstream. Of course, Beastie Boys and Rage were mainstream. Anthrax definitely not.
Right. But they were different genres,
Sure, but Rage was at the right time. Beasties came out, and they were a punk band. They were a punk band in the 80s, and they turned it into rapping,
Kind of like a hip-hop, yeah.
Yeah, they really embraced hip-hop. So they embraced the movement that was happening, right?
Right.
Whereas Rage came out, and they were trailblazers in a lot of ways. They saw with hip-hop what was going on. Right. And Tom Morello with his guitar playing was very hip hop-esque, and with Zach singing the way he does.
Right. The Beasties took the funk from like George Clinton and the Funkadelic and mixed that with their punk, and then they put that all together.
And then I would say Rage took that one step higher.
Yep.
And made it way more intense.
Plus they were more about fighting the power, so they were trying to more like make a statement.
A political statement is always a good thing in a band. Like, you're going to get more publicity that way, right?
Right.
Look at Slayer. Slayer talks
They're
about
demonic.
Yeah, Slayer, is all demonic and terrible, and like people that believe that they're Satanists are stupid. Like,
do you read the lyrics?
It's very well, it depends who writes the lyrics. So Kerry King will write stuff that like
it's dark.
Jesus Saves or like Disciple is very anti-religion.
Right.
But then Jeff Henneman was writing stuff like Criminally Insane and Dead Skin Mask and more like stories about or Angel of Death about Auschwitz, right?
Yeah, like Hitler.
Yeah.
People
and
who deliver evil.
And Tom Araya is a Christian.
Yeah.
Like, Google it, YouTube it, whatever. He's talked about it a million times.
He's a devout Christian.
Yeah, so it's funny to me when people take a band and assume, dude, it's marketing, man.
See, but they didn't assume the wrong thing about Paul or the frontman for Pantera. He was
Phil.
Yeah, Phil. I'm sorry.
So they're getting shows canceled over that.
Yeah.
Right now, today, they're getting shows canceled in Europe over, an alleged white power salute. I don't know. My view is that Phil was kind of a little.
He's a drunk dude.
Probably shouldn't have done that.
Well, he's a very drunk. He's a big drunk.
I think he's cleaned up over the years. I remember seeing him in the '90s with Man Cow at some show. Hell, you might have been there with me.
Was the Allstate? Was that the?
It was Allstate.
Yeah.
Not, but it was a bad show. I saw him at Allstate. It was amazing, and then I saw.
Yeah, with Bongzilla. That's the one that I saw.
Oh, it was terrible. I mean, him and Dime. Dime fell on the stage. Like they were just completely obliterated.
Wasted,
Yeah,
yeah.
completely obliterated. But my point is, when you're in the limelight like that, in any capacity, and nowadays, even smaller bands like myself, when we had to get rid of our singer, I didn't like it. I think I'm still friends with Dave. I think Dave's a great singer.
He is a good singer,
He
man.
was, and he's a great frontman. He was doing things that were taking attention and putting it in. It was negative attention. And in today's day and age, with the way that shit spreads, you can't do it. You just can't.
You can't personify yourself that
You
way.
can't. You just you have to. You know, he would say, you guys just want me to be a dancing monkey. Yes, we do.
Sing the songs. That's what you got to do.
That's the. I guess that's the progression of, and I'm sure it's always been that way, but that's the progression of music in my view. Is now it's very, social media driven,
Right.
So it's really you can create a persona and spread it to the masses.
Which is
the problem is though if you go against that persona in
Yeah.
any capacity, it's gonna backfire real
You're
fast.
probably going to
too.
be number one real
Yep.
quick. Yeah. But see, like the progression that you went from Torn to Taking Back Emo,
Yeah.
that's two different levels. You went from like hard rock metal
Yep.
to emo music. You know what I mean?
You know, I thought the same thing.
Because it was like I explained to you, like I understand taking it to a business level and making it, trying to make a money, making a cash cow. I understand the point of that.
Yeah.
But at the same token, do you really want to play music that, I mean, me personally, I would change the channel on half the music
So
that you guys are playing.
the reason, I mean, that was a very it was a really weird time in my music career, right? So because it's two different things really. Torn was, I'll put it this way, if I could make money playing Slayer covers, I would go play Slayer covers.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to fucking hear it.
Yeah,
Right?
true.
There is a market because emo music, for better or for worse, that right now is the wheelhouse age group.
Right. Of the community. Of what's
25 to
out.
40.
Yeah.
That was their
And plus, emo encapsulates a large
sure,
range
and
of
it goes
music.
and you can go emo to they call it screamo, right? So like I liked bands like A Day to Remember and Unearth and I mean those are two really off the top of my head that were they called them screamo bands, right?
Okay.
Much more hardcore. And when I got into the emo band, I realized that there's a lot of punk and metal elements
Roots, yeah.
to it.
Because like Bowling for Soup, aren't they like considered a punk band, but now they're considered emo? Like in
Yeah,
this
so
day
I
and
think
age?
there's a crossover of pop punk and all that stuff kind of, intertwines. When you talk about emo in general, you can go back to the late '90s when Blink 182.
them too. Yeah.
They're considered pop punk, but it's right after that. So like bands like
Wasn't like No Doubt in like the start of that?
I don't know. I wouldn't call No Doubt that, but I would call bands like obviously Fall Out Boy is going to be the big one that everyone's going to point to.
What about Bush?
My Chemical Romance. Bush would be alternative, but those would be the bands that people are going to point to. So when I got out of Torn, you gotta remember I was doing covers, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm doing Tricky Mission, and we're just playing fun covers,
Yeah.
But Dave, that's his age group.
Right.
He's 10 years younger than us, right? So
Right.
his age group. So he started bringing these emo songs in, like The Killers and Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco. He's bringing these songs in that I've heard them. I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
And people
They
dug
love them.
it.
Yeah, people love them.
Now the older bracket like us was kind of like, okay, eh. But the younger crowd was digging it, and we were getting more of the younger crowd. So we were taking this turn to emo. And really what happened was they the band Taking Back Emo, they didn't want to do it anymore. And I was working with their promoter. Tricky Mission was working with them, and we found out they didn't want to do it anymore. So Matt and I talked, and
Why not try?
and Dave, and their marketing. Well, we can get into this too for sure, but their marketing pitch, is what I'm going to call it, was superior.
Really?
Far superior than Tricky Mission. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Matt's pretty good at social media. I'm okay at it. Dave was way more,
In tune with
phone, click, click, click. But like the marketing aspect of it is not as simple as that.
Right.
As you're finding out what we're doing now, right?
it. Yeah, marketing's not easy.
It's a hard thing to find that avenue. So they already had the brand, and they had the connections, and we wanted to play and get paid.
Right.
So I was like, okay. So it was a transition, but I mean, that first year, the unfortunate thing about that first year really is that, I remember at that point, Tricky Mission had been together, I'd say about 5 years, maybe
At that point.
maybe even 6.
Yeah.
And Kevin had gone, our drummer left, and we had hired drummers already.
Yeah.
So we would hire these drummers that come in. We're already playing on a click track. We have a click so they can just learn the set.
Right.
And we have some tracks, but not super full tracks. We definitely have tracks, but we're still playing a lot of the instruments are still in the front of the house. So a lot of bands don't do that. A lot of bands, they'll play tracks and they bring their instruments way back.
Yeah.
So it sounds perfect out there. And, which argue either way you want. My opinion, a couple of years ago would have been one way. Nowadays, I say that that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Because the crowd doesn't give a shit. They're
Yeah.
coming there to hear. They're coming there to hear the songs. They're
Yeah.
coming there to hear. They want to go press play in their car.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because that's what they're inclined to listen to anyway. Their playlists. You know?
So if you can make it sound like that,
What the hell?
who cares?
Yeah.
Now
see, at your last show, I forget where the hell it was that we went to. And you had
Dirty Nellies.
Dirty Nellies.
Yep.
And you had the new singer up there, and I'm sitting there watching the crowd interaction, man, and flicking off the fucking lead singer, and everybody fucking marching up to the stage with middle fingers in the air, and I'm like, are we gonna get into a fight right now? It's like,
It's so weird, man. It's what you said too, and if you went on the road with us, there are venues that worked, and there are venues that didn't. There's cities that work, cities that didn't. We're from Chicago. Chicago does not work. It does not work for this idea. It just didn't work.
really?
I
What is
don't
it, the
have
genre of music that just
I
didn't?
don't have a great reason for it. I really don't. It just doesn't work. When we would go to Detroit, it worked like a dream. St. Louis, Carbondale, we literally had people hanging. You know when they say hanging by the rafters? No, literally. There were kids hanging from the rafter. Like this happened. The fire marshal would come. It's a 500 capacity, and we got 750. We have people standing out the door. I mean, and loving every minute of it. There were times in Detroit, Carbondale.
And that's a college town too, so then no wonder why
We
you guys
played
are boom.
University of Illinois at
Champaign?
Canopy Club. First time we played there, 700 people, and I mean, you could just. I would pull my inners out, and the crowd is singing every song, every song, like screaming every song. Like the pictures I sent you, the one where they're like, that's from Canopy Club. They got the barrier right there, and like, I jumped down, and people are like basically molesting me, trying to rip my clothes off. You feel like a rock star in those kind of shows, right? And then you got places like Dirty Nellies or
Remember back to the Bungalow Joe days?
it kind of felt like that sometimes, man. Here, this was one of our first shows. We played, I don't remember what it's called. It doesn't matter. It was in Ames, Iowa, which is not close. I want to say it was about 4-hour drive, maybe even 5. It was far. And we show up there, and we got to load in through this back alley, which isn't that rare, but it's a back alley. You got to take a step up got to take a step up to get in, and then you got to go through a kitchen.
Yeah.
And then you got to go 3 flights of stairs, and then it's all the way in back, right? So I get there, and I'm the road manager too. So I get there and I'm trying to find like who to talk to.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around, and I mean it's dudes in overalls, cowboy hats, cowboy boots. It was like something out of Blues Brothers, man. Like, boys, you boys ain't from around here, are you?
What, you owe us a tab?
So that was not good. That show sucked. I think we had 12 people. It was awful, and that was like our 3rd show. Taking Back Emo was like this was blows.
My God. Wow.
But fast forward that year. We played some really good ones. Detroit was always great. That was the Magic Bag.
Yeah.
Like I said, when we went to Carbondale, college towns usually did really well.
Right, because that's hitting that genre of age bracket and all that shit.
Yeah, college towns usually did well. We had some good ones, and like anything else, you're gonna have good ones, you're gonna have bad ones.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And around here, we just decided it did not work. We did Dirty Nellies only because our marketing agents and our partners knew the people, and we got paid shit there.
What about Tricky Mission, though? When you were around here, it seemed like it did pretty well.
Well, we didn't have to split it with marketing and
True,
management.
true.
So monetarily, it was better, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But attendance-wise,
No?
it's debatable. It's debatable. It really is. Like when we played Even Flow, Tricky Mission was better.
Yeah.
When we played,
But what was the capacity at Even Flow? It couldn't be more than, what,
250, I think,
yeah.
yeah. When we played Nelly's, I would say Taking Back Emo was better, for sure.
Is it because of the area?
I don't know.
Huh.
That's the problem, is that you just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're playing mainstream downtown, you're not going to...
Well, even the downtown venue. So when we played like Elbow Room, that sucked.
Oh, man.
We played. Whereas Tricky Mission, when we played it, did well. And that's the problem with just the music scene in general. It's just hard to figure out.
Yeah.
Too many variables. COVID was a variable.
Yeah.
A variable that we couldn't control, and that really.
So you going to try to reboot it, or are you guys just fucking done with it in general? Just
I don't know. I mean, we have a lot of equipment that we own that they still want. We got to make payments on.
Yeah.
And I don't want to keep digging my pocket, but the overhead's too big. So
Right.
if I was able to talk Matt back in, I know Dave would come back, but we still all got to get paid.
Right.
You
Right.
know? Like, is the juice worth the squeeze, so to speak? Like, honestly, got truth. You got to pay me with Dave and locally, not travel. If I was just playing local with Dave and Matt, you still have to pay me $1,000 just to show up, because the marketing, we all want to get
equipment,
paid.
yeah.
The equipment, still costs gas to get where we got to go, just to break even.
Right.
Maybe it'd be 900, but I mean it's in that realm,
Yeah.
just to break even. So
Now, starting when you started back in the basement of your fucking parents' house, did you think it was going to be this much of a fucking struggle to get into it, or to get to where you are?
It was different back then. The industry was different.
True.
The problem is too. Here's the other thing: when we were playing Bungalow Joe's, so to speak, right? Bungalow Joe's, they pay us $500. Want to know what Bungalow Joe's pay today? $500.
Yeah.
And it's what, 25 years later?
Well, it's also a dive bar, so I mean,
But that goes across every place you talk to. It's they are paying musicians the same rate today that they paid them 25 years ago.
that sucks.
It's absurd.
So there's really no gain to the struggle.
No,
Damn.
you can't even keep up with inflation.
Yeah.
Right. We played Even Flow. Tricky Mission did. Our first time we played there was $600. We stayed at that one for
One of the big-
years. Yeah. we stayed at that one for years, and then fuck, I don't even know, man. I would bet you it was about 3 years later where I finally was able to tell them, like, dude, I'm not doing it for this. And we ended up at the end of Tricky Mission, again, I'd have to look at my records, but I want to say we were able to get 1,000 by the end of that, which is a joke, man. We were by far, okay, we might not have been the top draw at that bar,
Yeah.
but we were top 3.
Oh, for sure. Because every time that you play, it was at least asses to elbows.
For sure. We were top 3 for sure.
And it was what? How much? What's the capacity in that place? 300.
I think up and downstairs you can get. I think it's 3. I think fire marshal's 3. You know.
But Jesus Christ.
But that's the other problem with everything that's going on is, like I said. So I was talking to a band a couple weeks ago. They lost their bass player, and I'm friends with them. Their bass players filled in for me a few times, and they opened for Tricky Mission, and they're a cover band. They play like 90s grunge shit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I'll meet. And they're like, well, you know, we don't travel like you do. I'm like, well, I can't travel anymore. Like,
Yeah.
there's no point. Like, if you want to play some local shows 2-3 times a month, I'm in. And we start talking about Evenflow because I know they play there because they opened for Tricky Mission there.
Right.
They're getting paid $700 to play Evenflow. And I'm like, dude, you guys been playing there for how long? He's like 8 years. I'm like, fuck, man.
Fuck that.
And I know the shows he's playing. They're playing our shows. When Tricky Mission broke up, they got the shows.
Oh Jesus! So they got the Friday and Saturday nights or whatever.
They got St. Patrick's Day. They got the festival night.
Halloween.
They got Halloween. And they didn't get. I think it's those 3. So they got those 3, and then they probably get 3 more around. It's the same rotation I had.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you getting paid what? So I was like, well, I don't care if you guys get paid $3,000 or $50. I get paid $150. That's how it goes.
Bottom line.
That's how it goes. So we'll show up. I know 90% of your set right now.
Wow.
But my drummer was like that. Great guy. Loved him to death. Great drummer. He was my number 1 drummer. But I had 4 drummers. So I would always call Mike first. And if he couldn't do it,
You got a line.
I
You
had a
got
couple more
list.
people.
Yeah.
And they all were in that 150 range. If I was really struggling, I'd have to call Luke. He was 200, but that dude's a stud.
Yeah.
But those guys, this is when you go into that next realm, man, of pros. Like, Luke would show up, nicest dude in the world. Doesn't say much to you. Hey, how's it going? Nice to see you. Warms up, sets his drums up, absolutely destroys the set, goes backstage, drinks some water, smokes a bowl, whatever he's doing, comes back on, destroys the second set, packs up his stuff, goes like this. I hand him money.
See ya.
He goes, all right, have a good night. And it's great. I ain't got to deal with shit. There's no drama.
Yeah.
And all of the drummers were like that. You know, we were a little closer with Mike and a guy named John, but we had a guy named Matt that was amazing.
Hold on a second.
John.
I got to piss, dude. This is
do
great.
it.
We'll talk about drummers. Hold on a second.
Do it.
All right, slight little pee break. Sorry, folks. But yeah, drummers being the easiest people to deal with as far as the band goes.
Which I think is normal. I think drummers and bass players, if I say so, are the easiest.
If I don't say so myself.
It's definitely singers. Most guitar players, I've gotten lucky with Matt. Matt is a rare guitar player.
Well, Matt's that's his personality. He's an easygoing.
But he's not, like, guitar players aren't normally like that. They're definitely, especially when you get at that level, it's a different kind of person, typically.
See, now,
Typically.
I mean, Matt's a great guitar player. I'm not going to take anything away from him. But he's not Jared.
No. And Jared is like that, too. Another weird anomaly that Jared is not, full of himself.
Right, and he's very humble, and man, he slayed it, man.
100%. Oh, that kid's.
That's why when Torn broke up, it was like devastating for like your closest friends. Everybody was like, "Oh no."
That kid could do. I wish he would. I would love to get into another thing with him because he can play anything.
Yeah.
And he can learn something in 5 minutes. It's ridiculous. Hard stuff.
Jesus.
But yeah, that's the hierarchy of singers are typically hard to deal with. Like, I dealt with Dave fine.
Yeah.
Me and Joe definitely had our butting heads, but Joe's one of my best friends too. Like, we're gonna fight.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna.
It's like a brother mentality,
We're gonna
whatever.
throw fists, But me and Dave, the same thing. Garrick was different. Garrick was a hired gun. He brought something different to the table than Dave did, for sure. I thought vocally he was good, but I thought his performance for that genre was a little better. For the genre.
Dave, you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about Garrick.
Or-
The way he kind of like pulled that stuff was he was theatrical.
Jared?
Yeah, theatrical.
Yeah, when it
right?
came to the playing the
Yeah, so
Well, Joey Kahn's like that too.
yeah.
When he plays his blues and shit, oh my god, man.
Well, but that's performers. Performers perform.
Yeah. Because I've never seen anybody like Joey Kahn play the blues like he does. I mean,
Yeah, performers perform. But Jared didn't like to perform like that.
why?
I don't know.
He was good at it though.
I remember telling him, we did this show at what's called Clearwater. Now it's called the Rock House.
Oh yeah,
West End.
yeah. That's where we got into that brawl.
Yes, big show. It was our CD release show, right? And we're going to be playing with Mushroomhead soon, and at the time, we were supposed to be playing with Anthrax and Soulfly. We were supposed to start a tour with Pissing Razors and Pissing Razors and what was that other
That's
band?
awesome.
That was with the Metal Chef.
Yeah.
They had a Metal Chef, but so that's when everything was going on. Like this is when I thought we were gonna
Take that right turn.
start
Yeah.
moving in the right direction. But anyway, Jared, because if you remember, like, typically I was stepping in front and just slamming,
Yeah.
and Jared would step back during a solo, and I'm like, dude, step forward, and I'm like, I'll tell the dude to put a spotlight on. Oh, no. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, man.
Like, nobody gives a fuck about the bass player with long hair slamming his head. Nobody cares.
They want to see the guitarist fucking.
Because everyone is staring at you when this is going on.
Yeah.
Like it's you, bro. Yeah. And he, like you said, he's humble and super nice dude
Yeah.
and shreds, but didn't want anything to do with that spotlight.
Wow, man.
So
And
if we would have made it, it would have absolutely still been me and Matt
which is very odd
doing interviews
to have
and
that
stuff.
to have that kind of talent and not want to be in the limelight like that. That's
Jared didn't want it, and Joe was scared to death.
yeah.
It would have been me and Matt talking, and probably Mike Stone in the corner, whatever. It would have been us doing all the interviews.
Now what's going on with Mike? Is he still drumming? I mean, is
Oh,
he?
yeah. Oh, fuck. I went over there. It's been a little too long now. I kept telling him I would come, but I'm just so busy.
Yeah.
As you know,
Yeah.
it took 6 months to get here, right? But I went over there. Fuck, I don't know. I want to say it was October.
Yeah.
Jared, me, Joe, and Mike, and we jammed everything from Alice in Chains and Weezer and to Metallica and Pantera. Kind of the normal stuff that we do.
Yeah.
That we've done. And it was fun. I mean, Joe or Mike. Mike has come long way as a drummer. Long ways a drummer.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Well, he made that turn when he got into Government Mule. Once he watched the Government Mule drummer go and do his thing, I guess he was sitting there telling me that he was mesmerized by how easy and how graceful it was with how much he was doing behind the set. And he was just like, wow. And he looked at how he was holding his sticks, and he just made that adjustment, and Mike just fucking went to town from there. As good as a drummer as he was at that point, you know.
I would be honest, what bums me out about, like you said, Matt, right? I consider Matt and myself, we're okay at what we do.
Yeah.
You know, I think I bring more of a stage thing to it. I'm not the greatest bass player.
No, but you guys are good fill-ins.
I hold it down.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna fuck up too much, but I'm not fucking Flea up there. You know, I'm not Les Claypool, for Christ's sake.
Right.
I know my role, and I accept that. What bums me out about guys like Jared, Mike, and Joe is they had way more talent, way more natural talent.
Yeah.
And which is why I hooked my stick to Joe and Mike.
Yeah.
To Joe,
those
really.
two together. I'm sorry.
To Joe, really, I hooked my stick to Joe. I'm like, because that dude's got it. Especially back in the Soulful Joe days. You know, once we went to Torn, I think the addictions were already coming for all of us. I mean,
Right.
Fuck.
Oh.
I mean, let's be honest. But once Torn came around, it was a little. But the Soulful Joe era, when he was Soulful Joe,
Yeah.
that's where I was like, holy shit.
Well, the lyrics that he was coming up with and the music that he was putting
the stage
out,
presence.
and that too.
Played a guitar. Like
His voice would hook you.
he mesmerized people on it, and I was like, this dude's going somewhere musically.
Yeah.
And fuck, I learned bass in a month just to join the goddamn band because
Yeah.
like, hey, you know, and I fucking sucked. It was terrible.
I know it.
But whatever, I wanted in. I got in. I wanted in. I got in.
See, and it was because of them is why I learned, rhythm guitar, and why we started Broken Thought with Jared and them.
We talk about the you could go pretty deep in that subsection of
our crew and our life.
well, and how it splinters.
Yeah.
And where everybody went, and we could just talk musically, not
Right.
not everything else, but just musically. How much that band
Affected everyone.
affected so many people that of course that we know, but like it splinters a lot further than that. You
Yeah.
know, like and it goes into Torn. Like when I was doing, it's kind of funny when I was doing Taking Back Emo. We met a guy out in Columbus, Ohio. Super nice dude. His name's Chris. Really nice guy. And he was a nice dude. And we talked about stuff younger. But he was wearing a Ghost shirt. And I'm not a huge fan of Ghost, but I like Ghost. So we started talking. And then, we became friends on Facebook, whatever.
Ghost the movie?
No, band Ghost. Never heard Ghost?
I was like, what are you guys talking about, Patrick Swayze?
You never heard of Ghost? Ghost is very. Phil Anselmo's a big Ghost fan. Very atmospheric. They're a metal band for sure, but like, I don't even know if they're more doomy. Like, you'd have to listen to Ghost. They're kind of their own thing. Like, they're hard to quantify.
I want to say that, was it Ghost or somebody else? Something like that headlined a Volbeat show that I went to.
Probably. That Volbeat and that makes sense to me.
And they came out.
'Cause I'm pretty sure they're European too.
Yeah, oh yeah. And they came out like all devilish, and theatrical,
That's
like
the
all
band.
dark and black and red and
white
everything.
faces,
Yeah,
and they had crosses.
yeah, and the big whole headsets and everything. Yeah,
It's cool. It's very
Guar.
Guar, Marilyn Manson, Alice Cooper,
Slipknot,
Rob Zombie. Yeah, I mean they're in the theatrical end of it,
Yeah.
which I think is cool as shit. Right? Again, I'm not huge into it, but I dug it. So we're talking, and he's like, to go back with how Torn or Joe Signori, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Mike is part of that, but Joe Signori
yeah.
in this area, right? So I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm in a fucking emo band, and we're talking, and like a couple weeks later, I get a message from him. So he's like, hey, were you in a band called Torn? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, dude, I just downloaded your stuff. Pretty fucking cool. And I was like, just strange. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
meet a dude in Columbus, likes, me and him became friends. You know, there's actually a pretty funny video of us. He bought a bunch of beers when I was shotgun the beers, and he fucking was like blowing it out of his nose. It was hilarious.
Nice.
Matt took it down in like 4 seconds, and me and his name Chris were like 15 seconds. It was terrible. Matt was like, whop, done. And I'm like, ooh.
Damn.
Yeah.
Champ.
But anyway, my point is the family tree, if you will,
Yeah.
of that.
Has many branches.
Yeah, because there's Joe, and then you have like Mars and Johnson and
See, and that was another interesting character they add to the mix was Mars, because he was more classic rock, Van Halen,
right.
esque. He fucking jammed on the guitar as well.
sure.
And
Joe is very bluesy. I thought they complement themselves pretty.
right, but with those two as headstrong as they were, one wanted to go one way, one wanted to go the other way, and it just wasn't gonna happen.
Well,
I
and
mean,
that's-
everybody saw it too.
And that's what happened. So when I joined Soulful Joe, remember Rich Davis was the drummer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So-
And wasn't Craig the? No, he was. What band was that? When Craig, Rich, and Mars. And you replaced Craig.
I replaced Kenneth's in Final Element.
Final Element. But wasn't Craig the?
I don't know any Craig. to be
He was the tall blonde. He was another tall blonde surfer-looking dude like Kenneth, but Kenneth isn't tall. But
So Kenneth's went to he was doing Smack.
yes,
He was more focusing on Smack,
right with
and then he joined Tarada too.
Smack was with Henry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Little Joe, and then he joined Tarada with Bob and John.
Now think about Little Joe and where he went, man.
Dude, he was playing Nirvana show. Actually, Adam told me that he wants to come back here, and he's looking for a band. And I'm like,
Really? He wants to drum again?
maybe I'll. Dude, he's been out in California drumming. He was in a National Nirvana tribute band,
No shit.
Nirvanish.
Really?
Yep. Oh yeah, look it up. Very good. Very
Now,
good.
is he like the only little guy freaking drumming?
I mean, I don't know, but the dude's a good drummer.
Hell yeah, he
Dude's
is.
a good-ass drummer.
Dude, him and Henry, and when we back in the studio days, man, he was
Dude,
jamming.
Smack was great. I remember when Tricky Mission first started. I know. Garrett was singing for Not Tricky Mission. We didn't have a band yet, so it was me, Matt. Actually, it was me, Kevin, and Andrew doing Rage Against the Machine covers. Because I wanted to do a Rage tribute band. Still to this day want to be in a Rage tribute band. So if anybody out there, anybody out there can do some Zach, I want to do Rage tribute. 1,000%.
Fuck you! I won't do what you tell me.
I will join that immediately. But anyway, we were doing a Rage tribute band, but we couldn't find Zach.
Yeah.
Because
Who has that
who
unique
can
of a
do
voice?
Zach, right? Can't find Zach. And we don't have a singer. So Garrett comes over.
Yeah.
And, and Garrett's a good singer, but, he loved the guy to death. But he's
not a singer.
He's
Yeah.
not, he's not one that we can do a lot with, right?
Right. He's got a range, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Understand.
Well, anyway,
that.
I was like, fuck it. I'm like, I want to play shows. Like, this is good enough, and we can
Make it work.
make it work, and we can pull you along. So I'm like, but I need Matt. I need Matt to help me with all the other shit. So Matt at the time, this is when I live in Aurora. Matt at the time lives in Montgomery.
Yeah.
So Matt's like, Matt lived in Wisconsin actually. He just moved back to Montgomery. And I'm like, Matt, come on, let's
Come on,
do
dude.
this. And he's like, dude, I could use some money to get tattoos. Which, by the way, I have 0 tattoos, and this was 12 years ago. So that's how that worked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all you kids out there that want to join a band to get tattoos, you ain't gonna make enough money.
Yeah. You got to do a lot of shows.
Yeah, a lot of shows. Get a side gig. So Garrett decides, and I'm looking for shows. Garrett decides he doesn't want to do it.
Really?
I remember he called me up, and I was bummed, but I was kind of determined because Andrew's a great guitar player. Matt's a great rhythm. At that time, Matt was playing rhythm now. Right?
Yeah.
And we sounded good, and Kevin was an adequate drummer.
Right.
He not the greatest drummer, but he's good enough.
Yeah.
Right. And we all got along great. It's like, fuck it, let's just go play some shows and have fun. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And I think Riley was just born. So this is actually 15 years ago. So anyway, that's when Andrew says, "Hey, I know a guy." So Dave.
Yeah, that's when he comes aboard.
Dave shows up for rehearsal, and
Wasn't that still in?
is in my basement in Aurora.
Was it yours? I thought we were still. Wasn't that still in Garrett's basement when we were still in Broken Thought and Dave came to the scene?
Well, yeah, but that's when Garrett lived in Blackberry Farm.
Right. In Elburn. Yeah.
Yeah. So Andrew was playing with us too, and then he brought Dave. I didn't know Dave. Dave just showed up at my house. Dave's 21 years old.
Yeah.
Shows up to my house, and very green. Good voice, but green.
Yeah. Never been in front of anybody at that point?
I mean, he was in choir. Like, he was never been. I think they had a band in high school. That's why Andrew
Suggested. Yeah.
and. But anyway, I end up booking a couple shows, but the first one was at Ballydoyle in Aurora. It was like a battle of the bands.
Oh yeah.
Dude, the kid, he was like, he wouldn't look at the crowd. Wouldn't look at the crowd for the first couple songs. Like, he had to get into it like his back was turned. And I'm like,
Don't be Jim Morrison. Turn around and fucking
I'm like,
sing.
I don't have stage fright, but I'm like, nobody gives a fuck about the bass player. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
you gotta go. But he came around, obviously, and it took a long time. It really did. Dave did not come to into his own for.
Had to be a dozen shows before he was hopping around like a fucking monkey.
I would say it's a year.
Really?
We didn't play much that first year. So I bet you it was a year, even 2 years, because we didn't. Again, I have it all written down, but that first year we played Penny Road Pub. We played.
Hell of a place. But that's where you play with Local H, isn't it?
No, Torn played with Rat.
Rat. That's who it was.
We opened for Rat. Yes.
Then they borrowed Mike's drum set, right? Mm-mm. No?
That was Saxon.
At
Riley, that's Riley's Rock House, dude.
those old has-beens that never was.
I have a Saxon shirt. Matt got it for me like a couple years ago. He's like, dude, check out what I got. I'm like, hilarious.
Oh, man.
Now, what's funny about that band, though, look them up, man. Biff Buford's like 75, and they're still fucking selling out 15,000 seat arenas in Europe. I mean, Saxon is like...
Well, that's how it is with most of those hair metal bands.
Saxon... Metallica talks about Saxon. Saxon is like a god. And they played Riley's fucking Rock House.
Capacity 750.
Oh, capacity
3.
Yeah, capacity 110, and that doesn't include that ounce of cocaine that's in the
back room.
The back room there.
the band room.
That place is...
They wouldn't come unless there's a pile of coke.
Oh my God, that place is disgusting. Yeah.
I mean, the green room at Penny Road was also a.
There was no green room there.
Well, the back room that they had, it was like a closet.
Yeah, it was like you step off the stage and there's a door to go outside, and you're standing like in what, a 2x5 area.
Here's your closet.
Yeah. But you're just kind of standing there.
You guys are limelighting tonight.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So like that's where we were used to that, and then.
But see, at what moment, like, would you say like? Because I know you said something to me about when you saw Kenneth at one of his shows, and it was like when you first started getting up there, and he was just got into Seventh Heaven, and Seventh Heaven was like reaching their peak. And I think you told me the story where Kenneth was like getting ready to go on stage. He, of course, how he is in his freaking, his cargo shorts and his unbuttoned shirt and all that kind of shit, no shoes. and then he like puts his hands out, and then the guy
Oh,
just
no,
comes
I
in
know
and
the story.
straps the freaking bass
Yeah,
to him,
so
and you're
it-
just like, I want to be there.
I know the story, but that was much later. So like when I first saw Kenneth's, we got to backtrack a little bit. Like, you know, my family's very musically inclined, as you know.
Yeah. Well, dance wise, yeah.
Well, my uncle's a professional keyboard player.
I
two
didn't
of
know
my
that.
other uncles are play saxophone.
I mean, your dad doesn't
my
strike
co-
me as a musically inclined guy.
No, this is my mom's side. On my mom's side, he did play guitar too, though.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Tom Janet.
My cousin lives in Nashville, professional singer,
Yeah.
married to a guitar player who is. You think Jared's good? This guy is now, of course, not the same style of music.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Like
The
Chris
and
Broderick?
He's a fucking rock star. The dude is in Alabama, which is one of the biggest country bands in the history of country bands.
Mm-hmm.
Played with Alice Cooper, played with Kelly Clarkson, played with. His accolades are pretty deep.
Nice.
And he is now the #1 guitar player at Grand Ole Opry, which is majorly prestigious to get that.
Did you know that they wouldn't allow anybody with a drum in there when they first opened?
At the Grand Ole Opry?
Yeah. They wouldn't allow a drum because they considered that to be the quote unquote jungle music. They wouldn't allow anybody.
I believe.
in there with a
I
drum.
believe that. Like way back in the day.
Oh yeah, but it all had to be string instruments,
Oh, I believe that.
you know, or harpsichords or whatever the fuck. They wouldn't let anybody in there with a drum
I believe that
until Elvis, believe it or not.
I don't find that strange, but what I was saying is you know I come from a musically family, so I had played drums, I had played guitar, but then I focused on
Bass.
then I focused on sports. I didn't play shit from 7th grade till when I saw Kenneth's. Really, that's when it was. I met you guys, met Joe, and got invited to the studio.
It was the studio area. I just got back from
in
Dallas.
Elgin.
Yeah, I just
so you know I was 18
19. Yeah,
or 19, and
because that's the year. That's what I based my whole time span around. Is when I came back from Dallas.
Yeah.
Because everything before that
well,
was
you
like
and I
the
knew each other
drug-induced
back.
shit.
You and I knew each other back in grade school, or
Right.
elementary school, right? So I think it was because of you and trainer. Like, however, I don't really remember how I met Joe, but I met Joe.
We were at the studio. I remember that night.
Yeah, but somebody invited me there.
Right. It was Matt. Because I remember that night. Because I was dating Mandy at the time.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And we were all there, and I believe Matt came in. He's like, dude, you remember Kelly Quinn? He's going to be here tonight. I invited him. And that's when you walked in, and that's when we were standing there in the sound booth.
Yep,
You know, where
exactly,
everybody
yep.
was freaking doing lines.
Oh my
and-
god, it was ridiculous. And I mean, this is when I worked at the Board of Trade, so like,
Oh, God, that was second nature for
so
you.
right, drugs are everywhere. I walk in and there's a heroin room, there's a cocaine room, there's a weed room, there's an
Yeah.
alcohol room. It's fucking crazy. Anyway, I'm watching Mark, and I'm like, and this sounds stupid and conceited in hindsight,
Yeah.
but I'm watching Mark and I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah.
It's 4 strings, like, I'm pretty musically inclined. I could do it.
Then you pick it up.
So I went to Lombard, and I got a Samick bass that Nick Perone still has. I got a Samick
The
bass.
Warlock?
No, a Samick.
Oh.
It's a piece of shit. He filed the frets off of it. It's fretless. So I got a Samick bass and a amp. You know, probably a cord for like $250, right? And then that's when we started.
I remember in your basement, you and I and Nick tried to do
Dude,
something.
but it was in the garage, in my parents' garage the first time. It was me, Gowdy.
Gowdy. He was the drummer.
Gowdy was the drummer. Me and Gowdy.
Who
And
couldn't hold the beat for shit.
I thought Brett was singing,
Yep.
and Nick played guitar, but he had like not an amplifier. He had
Or
like
was it Pat These Balls?
No, it wasn't Pat. It was Nick, and he had the stupid, like he used like a like a radio, and Nick like rigging it all up with a regular like JBL speaker. We sounded so bad. That's when Gowdy would do that. So then Gowdy and Brett would switch, and Gowdy did that one song, I Saw Your Mother, she was a hooker. That one. It was fucking terrible. And we called ourselves Diecast. I remember this because Brett and Michelle were dating.
Yeah.
And I went to Milwaukee Metal Fest with them in, it had to be 97, maybe 98.
Eesh.
Milwaukee Metal Fest. And me and Brett are in Diecast. Like, fuck. So we're walking around, talking to people. And, like, dude, yeah, I'm in a band, Diecast. The guy's like, holy fuck, you're in Diecast? I'm like, yeah. He goes, shit, man, what are you doing? You guys are playing, like, well,
You got 15 minutes to get on stage.
Pretty sure I'm not in that Diecast. Must be 2 Diecasts. It's weird. Which is funny. Now I actually have Diecast. They're pretty good.
Really?
They're really good. But whatever. So anyway, that all happens, and then I want to say 3 months later. It had to be 3 months because I don't think it was 6 months because when I came back from school, this was pretty quick. It all happened pretty quick. That's when Kenneth wanted to do Smack. So he was leaving, and I wasn't joining Soulful Joe. I was joining Final Element.
Oh, with Mars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was joining Final Element with Mars and Rich Davis and Joe. And then that went for a little while. But I remember I had to learn 30 songs in 30 days. They had a show at Penny Road Pub, and I had to learn 30 songs in 30 days, and I didn't know a damn thing.
Jesus.
Just playing root notes. Fucking horrible. Like, when I listen to those songs we used to play, and now I know the bass line, I'm like, oh my God.
I did that? Oh, my God.
No, but I wasn't even playing the bass line. I don't know what the hell I was playing. It was terrible.
You're just watching the rhythm guitars like...
Dude, it was fucking awful. So then I buy here. Then how dumb I am. I got a lot of dumb stories. My 2 of where you start and where you finish is hilarious, though. But, this is... Obviously, I'm a metalhead, right? So I want to play metal. And, let's tell the first one. So I got my Samick. Right, I got this fucking Samick. I'm pretty sure Ken's still in the band because I just went to the studio.
Yeah.
Diecast is fucking slamming now.
Right.
And I go to the studio to watch Final Element practice. They're obviously rehearsing, but then the other band was coming later. Sledgehammer or some shit. Do you remember that band?
Oh, the band after...
Yeah, they were older dudes. They were older dudes.
The
like,
9 to 10 slot or 10 to 11
they were probably
slot.
24, but to us, they were like the oldest guys.
Yeah,
in the world.
whoa, yeah, because they had beards and goatees and shit.
They were fucking old as hell. They were in the dirt.
And long hair.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they come in, and, everyone's, like, talking about, whatever, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I see the bass player, and I'm like, hey, man. And I brought my Samick for some stupid reason. And I go, hey, man. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, dude, if you want to play my Samick, bro.
It really pounds.
Dude, you can, feel free. And I mean, again, in hindsight, I remember, like, and he was actually a really cool guy because he told me, like, get the fuck out of here. Because that's what I would have said, like, get the fuck out of here with your fucking Samick.
Samick.
Are you kidding me?
All right, rookie.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh. He obviously doesn't touch my Samick, and they play, and, they were definitely heavier, but, they were more butt rocky, whatever, but they were good. They were good at what they did. And bass players were playing a 5-string. I remember playing a 5-string. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
So then I find out what he's playing. Yeah. Years later.
It was like that bluish
I'm pretty sure I was talking to Mark Kenneth about this. Years later, and he goes, dude, you remember that fucking bass player from Sledgehammer or whatever? And I'm telling him that story because me and Mark, right before that, we go in the back room to do some blow. But he does a speedball. This is how I remember this.
That's the story.
Yeah, this is how I remember why.
Nobody goes in that back closet.
Right, so we went in the back closet, and he does a speedball. I just did a line. And anyway, for some reason we're talking about that, but somehow we got on bass, obviously, because me and him are going to talk about bass. He goes, do you remember the fucking bass that he had? And I'm like, dude, I remember being really cool. Like you said, it was like a purpley blue 5-string. He goes, that was an Alembic. And I'm like, fuck. I had no idea. Then I had no clue what an Alembic is. An Alembic's like a $4,000 bass.
I was gonna say, isn't that like the upper echelon of basses?
Dude, that's way up there. Huh. You want to play my $200 Samick, bro?
It really slams,
on,
man. It'll give you the sound you're really looking for.
It's like a guy pulling up with a Ferrari and going, hey, man, you want to jump in my Pinto? You know, or like whatever.
Yeah.
My fucking
you want to drive my Ford Escort, bro?
You know,
it's a sport.
So.
Wow.
So there's that. And then to add insult to injury, right, I see the 5-string. I'm like, fuck, I need one of those. So I'm looking up, and Jason Newsted plays a 5-string.
Well, didn't Clint or Cliff Burton play a 5-string? No,
he played 4-string.
4-string.
But Jason Newsted played a 5-string.
Yeah.
And at the time, he played a God damn it, why can't I think of what it's called? He played it was a beautiful 5-string. They were all sponsored by that brand.
Yeah.
Wasn't Ibanez.
Was it Dean?
No.
No.
Anyway, I go and buy the 5-string. And of course, I got Joe Mars telling me how to do stuff, but they're guitar players.
Yeah.
So
you want to watch my first finger?
Guess how I tuned the 5-string?
To the guitar.
Yeah. My low B was not a B, it was fucking E. I had a high B instead of low B. I just went.
Is that what the 5-string is? Is that it goes from E to B?
No, a 5-string. All it is a 4-string with a low B. It's got one more. The fifth, the top string.
Yeah, the
is
thick one.
Low.
Yeah.
Whereas I made the 5th string the high one because that's what they told me. Like, no. It still goes E A D G, but then you have a B.
Huh.
Well, no. I didn't know the fucking thing.
Down the road. Come on, man.
I didn't know what I was doing, so I said, okay, fine. And again, in hindsight, like, this is the dumbest thing I ever heard. Like, but for guitar players, it makes sense. So now you have another high string.
Yep.
For bass players, you want the low string.
Yeah.
So for a fucking year, dude, I'm playing a 5-string bass.
Mistuned.
Wrong. Wrong. Mistuned nothing. Wrong. Mm-hmm.
Damn.
But these are the things you learn.
And you don't play the 5 anymore, do you?
I don't like 5s. I mean, it's probably I'm like scarred now from it, but I never liked them.
No.
I'm just not comfortable, to be honest. I actually had one. I bought one to play some songs with Taking Back Emo, and I just couldn't get comfortable with it, and I ended up just transposing it.
Yeah.
I tuned it. I tuned my 4-string down and I'll transpose it.
Yeah. Same thing.
But I get it. Like if you can get comfortable with it, I mean, I that low B is very useful, but
it depends on the music that you're playing that you need it for. You know, also.
I mean, I think really I think it's just comfort. To be honest with you, I really think it's comfort. You know, you can still play heavy ass music with a 4-string.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
And you can play the blues with a 5-string. I've seen.
Yeah, that's what it gives you, that added extra bonus.
All you're getting is an extra low end. So like the first guy that I saw playing 5-strings was Fieldy from Korn.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean they're tuning fucking B anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's...
You know, so he would play a 4 or a 5, and I'm assuming it was just tuned to B, but I don't really know.
Now, what show was that when you saw Kenneth get fucking robed by somebody else? Or his fucking bass.
So we were going there. All right. Yeah, so fast forward many years now. So, like, you know, that's when I was 19. And, you know, so then I did a couple years with Final Element, a couple years of Soulful Joe. Soulful Joe turns on a tour in a couple years. Then I joined Mars's band, Full Throttle, for a little bit.
That was a short-lived thing, though.
Really short. They knew I didn't want to be in it, but I'm like, I'll help you out till you find
That
something.
was Tony was drummer, right?
Yeah, I'll help you out till you find something. And then about a year into it, I'm like, you guys need to find something. I can't do this no more.
Yeah, that's when he tried to fucking push it on me. And he's
then
like,
Dan Hamill ended up taking the
yeah, because he gave me a bass and an amp. He's like, here, you got 10 songs to learn in a week. I was like, what? I've never touched a bass in my life. I'm like, what the fuck?
You could have done it, trust me. But yeah, so then I go to that, and in between, I actually did join a metal band that I really did like. But I was getting older, man. I was my late 20s, just got married.
Yeah. Worked out great for both of us.
So great. And they practiced in the city, and I lived in Aurora, so
Yeah.
it just was tough. But their drummer was really cool. I remember taking the drummer actually to Steve Mars's party once, and really in hindsight, I wish I could have just figured out how to rope Jared and probably Matt into that.
Yeah.
Actually, the guitar player was cool. His name was Jeff Beto. He went to North. They were on that cusp. They were playing a lot of breakdown shit. They were playing very Hatebreed stuff. And we actually covered Hatebreed.
Yeah.
I was digging it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't working for me. And they were younger. They were early 20s. I was.
Yeah, and you were married with 2 kids at that
I'm
point.
Old Man River.
Yeah.
No, I have no kids yet, but we just got married. I think I was 27 or 28.
All right.
No kids yet. Riley wasn't born yet. But that takes me to I'm basically not playing for a year. And Michelle can say what she wants. I don't give a shit. She told me to start a band because she's like, you're being an asshole. You need to go play with your friends. And I'm like, okay. And we had the house.
Yeah.
We had the basement.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't give a shit. Put the stuff downstairs and
Jam away.
start
yeah.
a fucking band. And I'm like, done. And that's when I happened to go over to Brittany. My sister Brittany had her dance studio in the same neighborhood. I happened to go to a party because one of her teachers lived in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we were invited by the teacher, and she knew I played bass, and her husband plays drums. So I sit down with Kevin, and we're just bullshitting. I'm like, hey, you like Rage Against the Machine? He's like, yeah. I'm like,
Let's play something.
want to come over and jam? He's like, yep. So that's when that all started, right?
Yeah.
So now I just covered 10 years of me playing, right? Now we form our Tricky Mission. Kenneth's now has been in Seventh Heaven for probably 10 years, or 8 years at the time.
Yeah.
And of course, I reached out to Kenneth's like, hey man. He's like,
be
well,
open.
he goes, well, I don't know how to do that. Reach out to Richie. So I do. And Richie basically gives me the finger. So I reach out to the booking agents that I know,
Yeah.
and they set it up a few times. So we opened up for some of them a few times over the years. And I mean, over the years. So like, I love Kenneth, but he's such a fucking idiot sometimes. Like, here, I'll tell you that story you're referring to. We'll do a couple Kenneth stories. That story you're referring to is me and Pat, and literally, I just walked off the stage, right? I mean, we just finished,
Yeah.
and this is at Empty Barrels in Schaumburg.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Small stage, really hard to stage the side. So
Right.
like, it's hard to kind of get in and out when you have 2 bands.
Yeah. 'cause
So
it's
we
a
go,
lot.
yeah. So we're going off one end, and Seventh Heaven has a fucking crew, so they're coming up the other end, right? And I'm just basically got my stuff and get it off, and we kind of stage it to the, stage right, and I know. So I walk around the corner. Pat's there to hang out with us too, and I see Mark, and Pat's like, let's go talk to Mark. I'm like, yeah, for sure. And walk over to Mark. He's like, oh my god, thanks for coming, guys. I'm like, hey, dickface, I literally just walked off the stage.
I opened up for you.
It's like, oh fuck, man, really? What's wrong? Oh, really? Like you didn't even like come for us songs? Like, no, I just got here, man. Okay, cool.
Typical Kenneth.
Yeah, totally. I'm like, cool, man. Whatever, no big deal. We're bullshitting,
Yeah.
and we're just kind of shooting the shit. And Empty Barrels wants a quick turnover, So if I recall, we might even backline that. We might have even backlined it. So like we might have just jumped down and their stuff's already there. So Ken's was talking, and like he like lifts up his foot because he's got his fucking sandals on because he plays in his bare feet. Lifts up his foot, and like I see like a hand come and take the sandal off, other sandal off, and I'm like, the hell? And he's just talking like this is normal, right? You know, he just unbuttoned his shirt and then he just puts his hands up, and some dude just drapes the bass over him. You know, he puts his ears in, plugs it in. He's like, all right, I gotta go play. I'm like, fuck you, man.
Dude, I'd love to have somebody on the side just to derobe me.
Dave, we're playing Empty Barrels, bro.
In Schaumburg.
Empty Barrels is like a step above Bungalow Joe's.
Yeah, I know.
You know, it's like Bungalow Joe's 2.
Yeah. Squared.
It's fucking shit, man. And I'm like, dude, you know, it's not like we're playing Vegas. Now, again, love that guy, and he does play Vegas, and he plays cruises, and he's played Soldier Field. Like, he's played some fucking amazing gigs. So I'm sure this is just part of...
Just part of the trip, yeah.
Just as part, you know, for him, it's normal.
Yeah. Just
Doesn't
another
matter
Thursday.
Doesn't matter if he's playing Bungalow George or he's playing Soldier Field. He's done them both. This is what they do.
Damn.
But I was just like, whatever. So when me and Matt start getting to that level, that's what we're talking about. I'm like, well, I want a bass tech, dude. And Matt's like, I want a guitar tech. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, let's get a bass tech and a guitar tech. And we look up how much bass and guitar techs are. I'm like, I'll just get another bass. Because if I blow a string, I'll just grab the other bass.
It's so much easier.
Yeah. You know, and they have a whole crew of dudes like set up their lights and stuff. Man, me and Matt would, and to our drummer and Dave and Garrick's credit, they would do some. But like, honestly, Matt and I are pretty controlling. You know, no doubt.
Yeah.
Matt very controlling on the technical end, and I didn't want anyone talking to anybody managerial. Like, that's me. So we had our spots and we would let them do stuff. But like, you know, those bands they have people that do everything, and we would load the trailer, unload the trailer,
Well,
plug in every fucking chord, wrap every chord, unwrap every chord.
Yeah. Well, there were shows where just, you know, friends like myself and other people that were in the crew. Like, you want me to grab something, man?
And we were probably like,
yeah. You're just like,
you
just
could grab that and
just
roll
put
it
that
up
there.
Yeah. I'm not sure. But, I mean, you know, for us, that was a lot of money that we spent a lot of money on that band.
Yeah.
And
now it's just the big question mark right now. Like, what direction do you go? You know?
yeah, that's all it is. I mean,
that's what sucks.
yeah, we have about $150 a month that we have to pay for the loan, which is why, like I said, I've been looking to join something just to go get paid,
Right.
so I can pay the bill,
Right.
without pulling out of my pocket. But there's good and bad with it. Like, you know, I'm gonna miss playing those shows. You know, I'm gonna miss playing like those pictures I sent you. You know,
Yeah.
5, 7, 1,000 people. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah.
But you know,
The hassle of doing it and all that shit.
missing things, man. I missed a lot of Bella's dances, missed a lot of Riley hockey games, and then, candidly, man, missing Rita's stuff.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
me and Matt were not in a good spot that night. Like, we were torn up about that, and it was a great show.
Yeah.
But what do we have to show for?
Yeah. In the hindsight. Yeah.
And then, not to mention, not to get too deep in the weeds of the other stuff, the other people didn't even seem to fucking care. That, hey, one of our best friends is fucking dead, and we didn't go to the funeral because we made a commitment to this. We should have told you all to go fuck yourselves. Didn't do us any good.
Right.
It cost us money.
To do it. Yeah.
It cost us money and mental anguish. And I mean, I remember calling Joe the next week and I was in a bad place because I felt like I let everyone down, that I wasn't there.
Dude.
I just felt terrible.
Dude, I felt terrible because that was at the point where I had just lost my mom.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? I couldn't deal with any more death, dude. I just couldn't. And even though, Rita was he was one of our dearest friends, man. He was one of our, obviously he had his moments,
He's Rita.
Yeah, Rita's Rita, and everybody accepted Rita for Rita.
Yeah.
And I was just, and like you said, you were just at that point in your life where I can't, man. Mentally, I don't want to go there and feel like I'm going to portray something like false.
Yeah.
Like I have to fucking be like, feel sorry for something that I can't feel sorry for right now because I have too much going on here for me to fucking let this in. Yeah. And I don't want to be insincere and go there and feel like, it's not something that affects me like it should have. You know what I mean?
But we all deal with grief in the same in different ways, right? I mean,
yeah.
And you had such a close, and there you go. I'm not able to go to two things now. Your mom's like, I'm two things I'm missing because of this fucking band. That and there wasn't a lot of I don't know the word I'm looking for. There wasn't a lot of, I don't know if sorry is the right word, but like the other people involved didn't seem to, I don't want to say they didn't seem to give a shit, but there was no lot of understanding.
About what?
Hey, thanks for coming to fucking Nashville and not canceling the show. Because if we canceled the show, we're leaving a lot of people on the hook.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
We could have canceled the show.
Right.
And honestly, I think, again, in hindsight, we should have canceled it, and we shouldn't have felt guilty about it. But Matt and I are professionals, and we decided we're going to do this.
Right. And make it work. We can't.
And try to make it work. And that's right. We had a stretch starting. So Rita died. I remember Adam called me, and I literally was walking out the door to go to a show. Like I was literally getting in my car to go to Matt's house. And I stopped at my parents' house, and, I remember that conversation.
Yeah, it was great.
So we played, I think, 5 weekends in a row, Friday, Saturday, starting the night they found Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like January 6th through February 12th or something, every Friday and Saturday. We played. That tour made fucking dog shit.
Yeah.
A couple here and there were okay. I mean, the show that show I'm talking about when Steve passed away, that was a really tough one because he was fresh, right?
Yeah.
And we went to Dubuque, and I remember talking to Matt a little later, and like we're just kind of numb. Like I drank a lot. It was a good show. We actually made money that show.
Yeah.
It was a good show. We played there before.
Probably difficult to focus on the show itself, trying to get through it.
It's kind of weird because it's something that actually takes your mind off it a lot of times.
Right.
But then there's certain songs that you play that a lyrical content will hit you in some capacity. I actually remember there's actually a picture of it too, which is crazy. In Nashville, we played a song by My Chemical Romance called "I Don't Love You," which it's an anti-love song.
Yeah.
It's about. I used to always get mad playing it because I was thinking of Michelle. It's a song about someone that gets their heart ripped out.
Yeah.
But it just made me think of Steve at the time. So like I remember like kind of tearing up a little bit, and I'm standing there, I'm looking up in the sky, and we had a photographer.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of me looking up, and this guy like in front like singing, and it's a great picture. And then I see me, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly.
That was that moment. Yeah.
I don't want to relive that moment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, nothing you can do about it now. You
Yeah.
can't change. You can't wind back the clock.
So
But fuck.
let's do a pee break again.
Yeah, right on. Pee break. Pause. All right.
So where were we?
Pee break. We were talking emotional shit about Rita and performing. Sad times this year.
Yeah.
Or last year, I should say. This
Right.
time.
Well, this time last year.
Yeah, exactly. And this past year was rough, dude. Because, like I said, man, it was 3 days after Christmas that I lost my mom.
Yep.
And I had overwhelming guilt hanging over my head with that shit. And then 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks later, I hear about Rita. Then it's like, oh my God, dude. And at that time, too, I hate to say I wasn't on like speaking terms with Rita. He was getting back into the fucking pills. He was just.
I wasn't speaking to him either.
He was back on that downward spiral. He was blowing me off because I had projects here that I needed plumbing to do, and he was the only plumber that I knew that knew what the fuck he was doing. He was good at it, but he kept blowing me off, and I got fucking pissed off at him over that shit. And and come to find out that when everybody went to his funeral, I wasn't the only one that he was pissed. People were pissed off at him. People were mad at him because of the shit that he was doing. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, I went over. I mean, I think you and I talked about this before, but I had gone over there.
Oh, it's funny. Little side note: my co-host Dre is his neighbor. The guy across the hall.
Is Rita's neighbor?
Yeah.
Huh.
He was there when they pulled him out.
Oh, Jesus. No, I mean, for all that, like you said, I think a lot of people were mad at Steve. Like, I remember calling Joe.
Well, they weren't on talking terms either, were they?
Joe's like, you need to just cut him off. But the worst part about it was that I did. I cut him off.
And that's fragile for somebody's personality like Rita.
I know, but I cut him off, and then he called me to tell me that he was in rehab, which he wasn't.
Right.
Turns out he just got arrested, and he was in
jail for a night.
He was in Glen Oaks or wherever they send him for that.
Oh yeah.
You're basically in there for a couple days of
the mental ward
detox. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not what he told me. That's not what I understood. And then when I finally dug through it with Joe and Adam and whoever I was talking to try to figure out what the hell was actually going on.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I told him. I remember going over there a few times, man. It was fucked up because I'd go over there and.
Well, this isn't his first bout either of fucking
dude,
up.
Me and Rita done some dumbass shit. I mean, I've blown a lot of brain cells with that kid.
Yeah.
Literally blown a lot of brain cells with that kid.
Yeah.
But he was in a different place, man. He was popping pills and shit. And I've been clean for years. Still enjoy my alcohol, but I've been clean for years.
Yeah.
And
well, there was a time to grow up,
that's what I told him. And I'm like, bro, we're fucking 40 plus.
Yeah, you can't be
kids, man.
Can't be doing that shit.
And Gianna, dude, I remember it was when all that shit went down with Gianna. And
yeah, because he came here asking me to fucking kill the kid. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
All that shit went down with Gianna, so I went to his house or to his apartment, and Gianna was there. And Gianna's a sweet girl, and I'm talking to Gianna, and she's just, and we're just being a fucking asshole to her. And she went to her room, and I turned, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? I'm like, he's like, well, she should know. I'm like, that girl is screaming for a parent to help her, and you just basically shot her away. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, she can't rely on her mother. She's a fucking fall down drunk.
Like,
come on.
Her mother is garbage, and she's here with you, man. Like, this is your opportunity. So
I think everybody told him that, though.
So then he's like, hey, you want to go down the pool? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, tell Gianna to come with us to the pool.
Yeah.
No, dude. And I'm like, oh. So anyway, we go down to the pool, just hanging out, talking, had a couple beers, whatever, and I'm like, yeah, kind of the same thing, whatever. Just you gotta get your life straight up. You gotta straighten out, bro.
Yeah.
And that's when he told me he was like getting his job back and all this kind of stuff. And I don't even know, not too much time goes by. And I went over there again, and I think that's when, what's her name? Maybe I got him backwards, but one time I went over there, and him and Sherry, like, were
Sherry, that was
fighting or whatever. And I go over there, and I remember it was football season, because I remember like we were gonna watch a football game, and I told him, I go, dude, if you so much as think about doing fucking drugs around me, I'm leaving. Like, you cannot do them.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. Like, you can't do any of them. He's like, well, I like to smoke a little bit of weed. I'm like, bro, I don't care about weed. You can't do it.
Yeah.
Because what happens with you is that you can't stop there. It escalates. You can't just have a puff or a beer.
Nope.
You can't do it. I'm sorry, man. You can't.
He's the kind of guy that would, like, if he buys a case of beer, he's got to slam the whole case. He can't just have 3. You know.
Right. Buy an 8-ball, and that 8-ball's gone in an hour.
Gone.
In an hour. Not like you got a weekend to do it. That fucker's done.
Before the night's over.
Right. But he's excessive like all that. Well, anyway, I went over there, and I remember sitting there talking to him, and he didn't really want to talk to me. You know, he's just kind of, I remember just kind of sitting on the couch, he's being very quiet.
Yeah.
And I told him, I go, Steve, I go, if you don't get clean, I'm not talking anymore. I go, I can't do this, man. I go, I'm a fucking drug addict too. But I stopped.
Yeah.
Do I want to go into your bedroom right now and blow all the coke you have? Yes,
Sure.
I do. Yes, I fucking
Yeah.
do.
But am I? No.
But I can't.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't do it. I got kids. I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope for me too. And there is a way out. You can get out. And he just didn't want to hear it. And he went to the back room, and I was fucking mad. Came back, and I knew he wasn't on blow, because it's not. But he must have dropped some pills. I don't know, but he
Probably
was just,
he had oxy or something.
yeah. Suddenly he was just like, dude, I'm tired. I'm just gonna take a nap. And I'm like, I was like, man, I'm like, we're trying, dude. I'm like, we're trying.
Yeah. Everybody did.
So, you know, when all that went down, I was in bad shape, because I went over there many times.
Everybody did. Adam, you know.
Oh, I remember I was there with Adam and Nick.
Yeah, Nick too. I mean, he came over here plenty of times. You know, but when he comes over here angry, and he wants to like solve an issue or something like that. Like he needs somebody to have his back to do something. It's like, dude, I'm not doing that with you anymore. It's like, dude, I'm 45 years old. I'm not about fighting anybody anymore. You know.
And you never know what's real and false with Steve either. Like that's you know.
That was another slippery slope too. Is like what was real and what wasn't.
Well, because he was too chemically imbalanced. Is
Yeah.
what he was. But I guess my point is like, you know, I think about the kid all the time. I mean, I got his picture on my refrigerator.
Yeah.
You know.
You know how much I hate it when I look on Facebook and there's like times remembered and there's like a picture of all of us together and we're like at Joe's house or something. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?
It's terrible. But I guess the only thing that I'll say is that, you know, for the music thing, to go play was not worth it. I should have been there for.
Yeah.
I should have been there. You know, I should have been there for your mother. I should have.
Yeah. But in hindsight, you had your own life to live, and everything else goes on.
And that's what everybody says. But I guess when I look in hindsight, and when I look at my life, or when I look at what's important, right? You know, we've been through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Our crew have been through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, some of us, like, you know, me and you known each other since we were 7th grade, right?
Yeah.
You know, some people know each other longer than others. Like, you've seen a lot of things, and
it's amazing who's come out of it on the positive end and who hasn't, you know. Because they claimed a few of them, you
here,
know.
We can go down this road real quick if you want. But and we might have gone on this road before, but, you know, now that we're recording it, I didn't realize. So then when I got divorced, right? I get divorced and fucking dated in 20 years. I don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to talk to girls. Like, literally don't even. I remember being in a band. You know, I'm divorced.
See, but that's all you have to say when you're single. It's just like, I'm in a band and I play bass.
But I was with Michelle the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
Only the very beginning of Soulful Joe was I not with Michelle, right? So I was with her since I was 20. I was with Michelle.
Yeah.
Break up here and there. Should have really broken up with her the one time.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So from 20 to 40, I've been nobody.
Right.
You know, right? And I've been in a band the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
So have I had the opportunity? Sure.
Of course.
But you know me, I was loyal as fuck to that girl, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Why doesn't that count for anything anymore?
yeah, it was the other way around. We,
Yeah, oh, I know.
I got my fucking knees broken by her uncles or something.
And you know, and same suit followed with, you know, her friend, you know, with me. You know, it's just like.
Well,
But from my standpoint, with what happened between me and Veronica, is that she made me feel like I was never enough for her. You know what I mean?
well, but that's the same thing with Michelle.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think that's a women are tough. Women are. I don't know how to figure them out, man. You know,
There is no figuring them out.
there's
right?
not, and the problem with them too is I feel like as men we're problem solvers, so we try to.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's wrong? We go to something.
Where they try to find the problem or create the problem.
Well, I don't even know. Like, I don't know if they even know what the problem is. That's the bigger thing, right?
Do you know what I'm talking about here?
Right. So we're trying to, you know. Okay, so.
Yeah, you can try to hash out the problem
so
that's happening in front of you.
This chair is broken, and I can fix it by putting a screw in there. I'm just, you know, this chair is broken.
Yeah.
So then I tell her the chair is broken. I will fix it with a screw. But I don't want.
How did the chair break?
But I don't want the chair.
What happened to the chair?
The chair isn't actually broken. But no, the chair is broken.
No, it's not.
No,
It
it's
doesn't
not.
squeak.
Chair's fine. What about the couch? What about the bed? What about the fucking door? I don't know.
No, my thing is that if they did something that like was a problem now, like they said something that you were just like, it made you turn your head. You're like, what the fuck did you just say? And then you hash it out and be like, okay, well, this is what you said here and now, and this is what it,
Oh, that,
you know.
can't
And then
keep-
all of a sudden, she brings up something from, you know, that you talked about 8 years ago at 3 a.m. when you fucking, you know, for 10 minutes. That you're just like, what the fuck are we talking about now? This is not the conversation that we started out here with. And now all of a sudden we're dealing with how the fact that I fucked up somehow 3 years ago that fucking it now bothers you now.
right that I thought we're done with.
Yeah.
We can't keep talking about this. It's over.
Yeah.
We've moved on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not talking about that now. I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
You know?
now.
Not then, but when it's going to become now? Soon. Huh.
That, you know what? That is a great analogy for how they think. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
But.
it's crazy. But here, the story I was gonna say is that 20 years, right? I'm with Michelle. Now, we're separated. So she's living with Fuckface, and I'm playing the show at Even Flow, and she still was one of the prettiest girls I've seen. Like she was.
At the shows, yeah.
She's a very good looking girl.
Yeah.
No, not Michelle. This is fucking this girl.
Okay.
So I'm at the show.
Was that
And-
the blonde or whatever?
No, she was dark hair. She had to be like, you know, Indian of some. Like she was dark.
Oh, okay.
Dark skin, dark hair.
Right on.
Young too. And she's talking. I'm standing there with my drummer Mike, and me and Mike are talking. She pops in, and she just starts a conversation. So I'm talking to her. And then she keeps talking, and I'm kind of talking to her. And Mike is like giving me like and I'm like, I honestly had no fucking clue what was going on. That's how
You didn't know that she was hitting on you at that time?
I didn't have a fucking clue that this woman is hitting on me. Like really, like, I mean, she is fucking throwing every key out there. I don't even know what the fuck to do, right?
Wow.
And she was good looking, whatever, and I think I offered to buy her a drink. She bought a drink, and then she wanted to go back to Naperville, and I still wasn't kind of catching what's happening.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as stupid as it sounds, man, I just
Didn't know.
I never did it.
Well, see, a
Been
similar
in
thing.
I've been in a band for a long time, and a girl doing that to me sounds terrible, but it's kind of commonplace. They're just going to talk to you. I was just like, well, the time because I was in the band. And,
Right, and I'm on stage.
and,
Yeah,
and
right.
it's cool, whatever. Not there's any actual interest there.
Right.
Well, then when I went to Taking Back Emo, I was like, well, shit.
What the fuck?
Now I'm going to
Game on.
jump into that little wagon, which was nice.
Yeah, so you stepped up to the crap table and started rolling the dice.
Yeah. You know, it was nice, but
But see, I found, and like an opposite type thing when Veronica and I finally split. And I went out to Bannerman's, tried to do the single thing, just hit the bar. I met this dude, Steve, started playing pool. That's all I went there to do, was just go play pool for like a couple weeks straight right after we broke up. And then there was a show, I forget who the fuck was playing, some garage band. And these girls fucking basically molested me. You know what I mean? I was sitting there playing pool, and they just come up and like, oh, and start petting, petting my chest, petting my shoulders. And all of a sudden, they just start working their way down, start grabbing my package and shit. I was like, and I'm looking, and Steve's watching this. He's sitting there. He's an older dude. He's like Mars's age, He's like basically shooting pool with Mars. That's who I'm. And he's just sitting there watching this happen. And he's shaking his head, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, what the fuck do I do? If I'm a dick and push them with their hands away and say, get the fuck away from me, then that gives them the right to fucking, make a scene and be like, oh, you're a fucking asshole, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But on the other token, if I just let them keep persisting, then I'm going to give them the false accusation of thinking that I'm actually interested in them when I'm not. Yep. Because I don't want to be groped like I'm a fucking dog.
So what's interesting about that is that the double standard there, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Huge
double standard. Because if we did what women did to us in public, we would be in jail.
And what's funny though is that like I don't know. It's weird because again, being on a stage, I've been groped a lot.
Oh yeah.
And it's awkward and strange, but
when you're on stage, it's kind of like an ego boost. It's got to be
a little bit. But I mean, to be honest, it's awkward and strange. But I don't know any better. Because I've been getting groped since I was 19 years old. Yeah. Like, for real. Like, I mean, I remember playing a show at this fucking shithole in Villa Park. It's called DeVito. Maybe it was called DeVito Time then, but whatever. It was with Final Element. No, I'm sorry. It was with Full Throttle. It was St. Patrick's Day, and I had a fucking skirt on. And, yeah, so I had the kilt on. So I knew what was going to happen, so I wore, like, the proper undergarments.
The leggings
for
and
it.
shit, yeah.
But, I mean, no doubt, every fucking woman would just come up there and pull the skirt up. And I'm, you're right, I don't know if I really cared, but it.
At the same token, you're like, really?
But it happened all the time.
Yeah.
Tricky Mission, we did the same thing.
Yeah.
It happened all the time. Like, I would be playing, and somebody would just be,
rubbing your leg or something, yeah.
Or...
I saw it at freaking Even Flow in Geneva all the time, man. Especially with those
all the time.
Those cougars that were going there. Oh, my God.
All the time.
Dude.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if it was opposite, if it was women band up on stage and we started groping them,
yeah.
Dude, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
we'd be thrown out. The fucking security would take
and then
turns.
now flip it to a further thing of, like, society, right? Like, well, you don't like getting groped by women?
Whoa.
I mean, I don't hate it, but also like I'm playing a show. Like I'm
right, but it also
I'm at my job. This is the thing I've told like people, mainly wives and girlfriends. This is my job.
Yeah,
like I'm doing a job, so can I come to your job and be fucking wasted and just start groping you?
Yeah. Right. Well, it's just like the comedian whole thing. Don't be fucking yelling and shouting and cursing all throughout their set and haggling them and while they're on stage. That's their fucking job.
Yep.
Let them come to your fucking office little cubicle and start harassing you and berating you with fucking where's this, where's that.
We had a show. I'm pretty sure it was in Dubuque, and kind of the same thing. Garrick, our singer, he's gay.
Yeah.
Cool guy. They have nothing against any of that, and it's totally fine.
Sure.
There was a guy that was just berating him, like, take your shirt off. And he was like, take your fucking shirt off first. Like.
The fuck?
Yeah, just like, it does get a little out of hand sometimes. And they'll yell it at me, they'll yell it at Matt, take your shirt off, take your pants off, whatever.
Yeah. Classy.
Right. I'm like, okay. We're just going to play the next song.
Yeah, here we go on with our set.
It's weird because, like I said, the double standard of it is where suddenly as a man, you're, we're always the asshole. Like,
But the thing is that the double standard also implies that we should be used to that type of attention by women. We should be proud of the fact that a woman is giving us that type of attention.
You should be okay with it. Like you're almost a pussy if you don't.
Right.
Well,
you're not a man.
Jesus, this girl's what? You just take her to the car and
do her in the back seat, man. Just let her fucking suck your dick in the back alley.
Right. So the women want us to be gentlemen, but in reality, do they actually want us to be gentlemen?
That's where it is right there. That's where the double standard comes into play. Is that women will act as a certain fashion to make us think of them as a lower standard of what they actually are, and then when we treat them that way, they're somehow offended.
Yeah. and so to kind of come circle what I was going to say, like it is the environment we're in, right? So as a guy in a band for 25 years, I play in establishments that there's a lot of drunk people.
Yep.
Right?
Things get out of hand when they're drunk.
Things get out of hand. There's alcohol, there's drugs, there's low lives, whatever. People are inebriated, whatever you want. I mean, I've seen every.
Right.
You name it, I've seen it.
How many people have you seen come out of the bathroom and go?
I mean, I've seen people peeing in the corner, throwing up in the corner.
Yep.
I walked in at dudes doing blow in the bathroom, and they're cutting up on the urinal, and the condensation was in the cocaine. And I was like, that's not gonna work, guys.
Dude, you know what's funny? Is that right after I got divorced from Mandy, I don't know what show it was. I think it was your guys' show. But I got a blowjob in the stall of the bathroom after the.
There you go.
It was at one of your shows. I was like, where the fuck was that? I can't remember where the fuck that was. I was like, it was like, I don't know. I got drunk. I was fucking hammered because it was right after the divorce.
That's the point, though. That that's adult consent, right? That's,
right. And then how are we supposed to project an image upon them that we know as males to be false when they act a certain way in public?
So I guess what I've learned is, or what I still go by moral principles, right? Like I still.
What's right and wrong?
I'm gonna treat a woman how I'm gonna treat a woman, right? For better and for worse. I mean.
But the same token is that. For guys, both you and I have been in long-lasting relationships. We respect women. We fucking know what women, we know what it is to provide for a woman. It's just whether or not we can get that woman to accept our provisions.
Well, right. But that's what I'm saying, though. Then I just feel like in today's day and age, people are way quicker to throw in the towel.
Yes, just way because somebody doesn't meet their standards.
Way quicker to see, not even standards. Way quicker because suddenly you're unhappy about whatever. Instead of like talking it out and,
right,
communicating, you're going to look on social media and see, oh, well,
everybody goes.
John and Nancy went to fucking Bermuda. Like, John and Nancy might be in Fox Lake and it says Bermuda.
Yeah.
Who fucking knows? And John is fucking Joan down the street and Nancy's a bitch. Who knows?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Like,
this is your plight.
The perception of like happiness is so skewed now. It's just so
it's the struggle of this whole equal balance thing. It's
Yeah.
like where is it where women will feel happy enough that they feel equal, but yet they feel the compassion enough to where they need to have a man's essence, I guess, in their life. At what point can they draw that fine line? But that's why I like, I'm dating an older woman. She's fucking awesome.
Me too.
And that's the thing is that there's cut and dry with her. There's yes and no. And if we disagree on something, we can sit down and be like, this is how I see it, and this is how this is how you've been portraying it, and this is how I've been portraying it. And we can sit there and hash it out. There's no bullshit with an older woman. And that's what I'm loving about this, is that it's just like, whoa, what did you say? No. And then we can sit there and talk about it, and then she'll sit there and be like, oh, I can see your point of view. And then I'll sit there and say, I can see your point of view. And that's what today we're missing. Everybody goes on the attack.
Yeah.
There is no two sides to the story nowadays. It's all fucking, this is the way I see it. This is how it is. It's just, no.
Yeah, there's no actual conversation. There's no seeing it from the other side or shoe on the other foot
Exactly.
type of thing.
And I'm living that life out, and woe's me, whoop-de-doo, I don't care, people can say whatever they
But
want.
I still think if you at least here my experience is, when everything happened with Michelle, right?
Sure.
I remember having a conversation, and of course you were still with Veronica, but it was really you and Eric and Veronica and Kelly. I had this conversation with, amongst others,
Yeah.
Matt and,
Sure.
but there's a moral compass, right?
Sure.
And if you don't fit the moral compass,
Don't suggest it.
then I'm not an asshole for that.
Right.
Like, I don't agree with what you're doing, and I'm going to tell you that, and that doesn't make me a dick.
Right.
And you're going to tell me, and you have your box of things, and it doesn't make you wrong either. What we need to do is to have a conversation about that, and find a solution that.
See, but the thing that I was having a problem with is that even though I would present a certain solution to not only ease my own fucking stigmas about the whole, lifestyle that she was proposing, she wouldn't adhere to it. It wasn't a solution to her because it wasn't meeting her standards.
But my only interjection will be this, is that if the person is genuinely not happy and there's nothing the other person can do about it, there's really nothing the other person can do about it. So, like, it took me a long time. Now, again, I'll just say, my experience, right? It took me a while to kind of come to terms with this. But, what Michelle did was wrong.
Yeah.
I've never done that, and she's done it a few times from what I can understand. However, she was unhappy. Still doesn't make it right what she did. It doesn't make it right the way she handled it. But anyway you slice it, for whatever reasons, and she's still unhappy.
Yeah.
She's an unhappy person. Still,
Right.
She's been through a bunch of guys. My poor children have had to meet a bunch of guys.
Well, that's how it was with Mandy.
My kids have met one girl. I've had plenty of fun. I've dated quite a few and had plenty of fun.
Yeah. My kids met one.
I was dating Jenny for a year before they met her.
Yeah.
And they've actually only met her. Shit, we've been dating almost a year and a half now.
Yeah.
They've only met her 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. Well, that's how it was when Mandy and
She
I
does
split.
not stay over when they're home.
Right.
We separated. Maybe eventually it's gonna, but it's a very slow process.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very slow thing to do.
Well, yeah, because you've spent time together, you've created life together, and now all of a sudden life has split you guys into different directions, into where it doesn't meet necessarily your moral compass and her moral compass doesn't meet yours. It doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are bad people.
Right.
It just means that you just hit a clash and have hit a point in your life to where things just wasn't gonna mesh.
Right.
And that's what happened with me and Veronica, because regardless of what how anybody wants to slice it, she was long gone before we split up. Because when she ultimately took the travel nursing shit, and
That was it.
that was it. Because then all of a sudden it became a test for me. It's like, why is it a test for me? I've been fucking blood, sweat, and tears trying to keep this fucking place alive for everybody to have a roof over their head. And I've been supporting everything, so you can have the education that you have, for the 2 years that you went. It's not like she was working all the time and providing for really much. So I had to, strap tight the belt and fucking do what I had to do to make sure that she got her fucking. But when it came time to her, like, well, this is what I want to do. And I'm like, well, I see a problem with this. This is where I see it. She didn't abide by it. She did it anyway. And this is how it was. And it turned out exactly the way that I knew it was going to turn out.
Yeah. But like you say, writing on the wall at that point, too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's why at the point when she came up here to freaking basically break up with me, I was upset, but I wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was like,
it's like a relief.
yes and no. It was like a relief that I didn't have to do it. But I'm kind of mad at the fact that it came to this point, where we couldn't just work things out, But again, I didn't want to hinder her to be somebody that she wasn't, whatever the hell. I didn't want to become the problem in her life, basically. So that's why I was just like, all right, fine, whatever. Just cut it loose.
Yeah.
But then there was a whole issue of everything else that came into play that nobody fucking seems to want to hear my side with the kids and everything, because not everybody I should say, but at least the kids look at me like I'm some sort of fucking demon, because she left her kids here, for me to tend for. So I'm kind of like, all right, well, a month into it, I'm dating, and then I met, Lisa. Great. I'm looking to progress a relationship with this woman, but it's hard to bring her here with my ex's kids here.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And I had a freaking conversation with them both, and I'm just like, listen, guys, this is going to be the hardest conversation I'm going to have with you guys, but, over the next course of the next few weeks, can we start transitioning your stuff into, like, your grandmother's house, or try to, like, talk to your family to see what we can do? Because this is getting to a point where it's an awkward point for me, because I'm going to be disrespecting you by bringing someone else into the house in front of you.
Right.
So it was hard enough for me to tell them that I can't have them here, and they couldn't accept the fact that was a hard conversation. Of course, my daughter's being my daughter, she fucking reacted as Mandy reacted and just freaked the fuck out, said it was my fault. I couldn't believe that I did this without her permission and this kind of shit. I'm like, well, it's not your life I'm living. I'm living my life, and I'd like to be comfortable in my skin under my roof.
Yeah, it's
it's a hard fucking road.
Kids make it even more complicated, right? So that's that's the thing that, and like I say, I feel like it always is easy to point at a shitty dad.
Right.
It's always easy to point at a shitty dad. No one ever wants to point at a shitty mom.
See,
but there are shitty moms.
But growing up like I did, I had that shitty dad that I can point at. And then I went to go meet him, and I had to fucking get this assumption for myself. I can't live through my mom's eyes, you know what I mean?
Of course.
So I had to make that assumption for myself to meet my dad, figure out what kind of person he was, and just be like, okay, is he the piece of shit that my mom said he was? To an extent, he was. But to another extent, what the fuck did my mom do to make him leave?
Right. There's two sides to every story, right? So here, a little more blunt on that story was, Michelle and our divorce got very heated, and she crossed lines that I wouldn't cross.
As
right?
all do. Yeah.
And there came a point where we had a long dragged out, about a year divorce. Cost shit. I don't know. I paid my lawyer, I think, $30,000.
For what?
For it to go back to exact. So when I got the retainer from my lawyer, right? I got the retainer from my lawyer, so I'm $5,000 in, and she breaks it all down. She goes, "This is where it's gonna end." She goes, "So let's bring it to her," and she's like, "Cause it's math. Divorce is fucking math.
Yeah.
It's fucking math.
50-50. What do you consider half of yours?
It's and the thing that Michelle didn't understand was that she was making more money than I was. Like I put her through college or put her through school. She was making significantly more money than I was at the time.
So guess what?
I had just gotten a job at Ozinga. Of course, I got the benefits, and now she was making $60 an hour as a master's degree nurse, $60-something an hour.
Yeah.
So she was making like $150,000 a year.
Yeah.
I was making 40.
Well, working at Ozinga, we were working.
I do now, but
Yeah.
dude, this is year 1 or 2. I was making shit over there.
Really?
45.
Oh yeah, you're not union. You don't
No,
get the
I'm
wages.
salary, dude. I was making 45, maybe 50, but I bet it was 45 when we started.
Yeah.
So my lawyer breaks it down and says, this is what it's going to be. So she fights it for 9 months, fights it. Guess what it ended up being? The exact same agreement.
Yeah.
The exact same agreement. So then this all goes down. I end up getting not a lot for child support, but I give in a little bit.
Yeah.
However, I was watching those kids 300 days a year.
Yeah.
Like, it was not 50-50. I had them all the time.
Right.
I love them. They can be at my house anytime they want.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't care about that, but that's why I got that, because she's a night nurse. So this is all legal shit.
Right. Right.
So
it all
I
comes into play.
I hired Rita's lawyer. He's like, she's a fucking pit bull, and she was a pit bull.
You know what's funny? Is that when Rita and I, became newly single, Rita and I went to Venuti's over here.
Oh, you met her,
And
right?
we met the lawyer.
Yeah, yeah. Her name's Kylie.
No, it wasn't her. She was like the overseeing lawyer of the whole thing. And Rita knew her, and he knew her, or she knew him. And it was like a whole, I told Rita, I'm like, dude, if you want to go fucking for a one-night stand with cougars, dude, this is where we got to go. And fucking...
Yeah, there you are.
But, and the thing was fucking Rita, dude. I bring him there, and I'm betting 1,000 as a wingman. I brought him there like 3 nights in a row, and he made out with 3 different women. He got 3 different numbers. He was Rita.
It's fucking Rita, dude.
And I was the wingman. I was just like, they would hit on me, and I would just be like, my buddy over here, this, that, and the other. That's when I was still with Veronica, and I was just sitting there fucking being his wingman. I was like, my buddy over here, he's single, fucking this, that, and the other. And they start talking to him. And they'd sit there and, once he's so, I'm a union plumber inspector and blah, blah, blah. I make just a much a year. And they're just like, oh, really?
Rita's in.
Yeah, and then Rita's in, and that's how it was. And fucking, but, where the fuck was I going with that story?
Well, I was saying at the end of the divorce, it was the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It was what we started with.
So, but with John Casey, of all people.
Oh, Jesus.
He was my lawyer when Mandy.
I think I knew that.
Yeah, when Mandy and I split. And, of course, Mandy being Mandy, she didn't want to pay anything. And because I paid her van that she was driving at the time, it was a brand new Chevy Uplander, and it was appraised at like $18,000. And she wanted to keep the van. And in order for her to keep the van, she has to pay for half of the fucking value. And when she heard that, she was like, oh, what the fuck is that? I'm not paying fucking shit. So with that, John's like, all right, well, if you don't want to pay, you waive alimony or waive maintenance. And fucking, I was like, ooh. I'm like, maintenance, hell yeah, waive maintenance. And she did. And we put a clause in there that she can't come back to come fight for it. As she waived for it. And I was like, and as everything, the gavel came down, I fucking like, oh my God, dude, I just fucking pulled one over on her, because that maintenance, she would have that $9,000 that she would have paid me back in her pocket inside of 6 months. Mm-hmm. And then she would have been collecting $1,500 a month plus that.
But that's why you have a good lawyer. So like, same thing with my lawyer, right? So Michelle, had all her idiots younger friends telling her that, oh, you're gonna take him for everything he's got, and my lawyer is like, no. You make more money, stupid. I mean, literally, I remember sitting in it was hilarious, because we're sitting in like a lawyer's office, her lawyer and my lawyer, she's the biggest bitch, and I loved it. She was just like, because Michelle's being a bitch, and Kyla was a bigger bitch, and just like, I'm like, I didn't say a word. I'm just like, this is great. Doing every fucking dime.
You think you know the law, but I know the law.
Telling her to go fuck off without saying fuck off. Like, so anyway, stupid.
With a smile.
Right, anyway, stupid. This is really how it's going to work. And her lawyer's just like, I'm going, oh, shit. So then she's mad because this isn't working out as she wants. So she's like, I'm going to take the house, I'm going to take the kids. And, Kyla's like, we're leaving. So me and Kyla leave. And I was upset because she's saying that, and Kyla's like, she ain't taking shit. She's like, that girl ain't doing nothing. She's like, she's no ground to stand on. Like, she works nights. You're going to get these kids into 200 nights a year. Like, you're going to end up getting what I said. So, yeah, same thing. So Michelle had to waive all this, waive all that. But anyway, where I was getting at was that it came down to, we signed all that stuff. I get a couple $100 a month for child support because they're with me all the time.
Yeah.
But my lawyer goes, you watch. She's going to take another job, take less money, and come back at you.
And that's what she did.
And she did.
Yeah. I remember that. She went to the ER and then took a lesser position.
So she took a lesser paying job, came back at me, and said, I want to split it 50-50. My lawyer, Kylie, already put in there, I can never, ever pay her anything. Like, I will never pay her child support, never pay her anything. Doesn't matter if I make $1 million fucking dollars. She gets nothing. I swear to God.
That's awesome.
However, Michelle, she comes at me. She's like, I want to pay for somebody to redo our divorce agreement. And I go, okay. And of course, everybody doesn't want me to do this.
No.
So I brought her into a parking lot, and I said, I go, look.
And I took care of her.
I'm like, I will fucking sign this thing. I'll sign it. I go, however, you come at me again, I'm telling the kids what you did. Ooh. And this is what we were talking about before. The kids are going to find out.
Yeah, well, eventually.
And they're going to make their own assumptions. I'm not going to do that for them.
No.
Right? I'll let the kids figure it out.
Yeah.
But I told her, I go, you come at me fucking again, I go, they're going to find out.
Yeah.
And her and Riley are still kind of on shaky ground. Her and Bella are okay, but her and Riley are on a little shaky ground. She's been a lot better.
Yeah.
But those are the things, like, you almost have to talk to him like stop fucking with me. Like, the girl. So I'm with a girl right now, right? Who I'm going to be meeting for dinner here, and
I was going to say, yeah, we're getting close.
But I'm with a girl right now who we talk about that all the time. She's like, I can never have what I wanted. So she got pregnant young. Dude, she was with this piece of shit.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything. She raised her son by herself. Her son is now a master's student at Purdue.
Damn.
So I'm like, be proud of that, right? Be super proud of that. She's like, well, I always wanted a family like her parents, right? Like my parents, like the American dream. You grow up with
the white picket fence.
Two parents, and you know, a couple siblings, and everyone's great and goes to school and is all wonderful.
Yeah, blah blah blah.
And I'm like, I wanted that too. It can't happen.
Yeah,
it's not possible. So like, if you keep
see, but I wouldn't say it wouldn't be possible. Though.
No, but that dream is not possible. The dream of you get married, you have kids, you grow old together, and you die together, right? It's not possible because I got married and I had kids with somebody else. She had kids with somebody else. The dream of that, of the man that you
I'm saying like with, when other people meet other people.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like this is where I was kind of going with the whole thing, was that that's my reality. That's not your reality. You grew up different than I did, right?
Yeah.
My growing up was, my parents were together. I've got siblings.
Yeah.
They're still together. You know,
right?
The kids are of the same parent.
Well, it also has to deal with the generation too, because our parents' generation was a generation of, we're gonna be married through thick and thin, so we better fucking figure it out.
Nowadays, we got a little soft spot here. Let's just cut ties.
This ain't gonna work for me.
Yeah,
you know?
let's cut ties and go get some strange and it'll be fine.
Yeah,
whatever. But that's what I'm saying. Like, so to transition to what I was gonna say before, kind of coming back full circle where we were, but she wanted the normal life, right?
Yeah.
The life that she was used to, the life that I grew up with, right? Not what you grew up with. And then we were talking about Steve and the Signoris and our friends. So when I was dating girls and I would talk about how we grew up in our teens and early 20s.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? I'm like, for real, I was like, wait a minute, that's not normal?
Yeah.
So hold on.
You didn't do drugs in your basements of your friends' houses?
Wait a minute. 4 hits of acid and 2 8-balls in a weekend, that's
not normal.
That's not normal?
I mean, you weren't punching out on Friday doing 2 hits of acid?
That was Tuesday. Huh.
Wow, I guess I was living the wrong life.
You take that in perspective though, of like when you're meeting more people and stuff like.
But that's the thing with the girl that I'm with now. She's a few years older than I am. She's never done a fucking thing. She never even smoked weed until she met me. And she's like, oh, I'm kind of curious. I mean, I know a lot of people that do it and blah, 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 blah. And then finally I got her to, it was a vape, and I'm just like, just take a hit of this, see what happens, whatever. She was curious. And she took a hit, and she didn't react well, Let's just say that. She said that she started hallucinating and that I started changing in front of her eyes. Like, she was looking at me, and I was going from, like, young to old to being a woman back to a man. Shit like, I was like, well, that's kind of odd, Like, I didn't, there's nothing laced on this thing. Just like, I was like, I don't know. Nothing like that happened to me since I'd done acid. And then I sit there and told her, and she asked me, she's like, you've done acid? I was like, well, there's like 3 years of my life where I did it for like every fucking weekend.
Double dip diamonds and fucking whatever.
Purple pyramids and Felix the
shit,
Cats and yeah. Because it wasn't until I got a job working with Joe at the warehouse, and then we got the apartment at Somerset or Prairie Station.
Yeah.
And then that's when the drug haven started fucking happening.
That's when the drugs took hold.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, when I talk to people, because that's who we hung out with, right? Like, my normal world was that.
Yeah.
Right? So my normal world was, and even...
But even going to college for you, it was probably the same atmosphere.
Yeah, it was. But again, as I look back in hindsight, our crew was a different level. Like, kids experimented, not like we did. They experiment with, they'll smoke a joint and maybe drop a hit of acid or do a line. We would do all three
in a night, in the first hour.
In an hour, right? Like, oh, wait, you got no coke? Well, I'll do meth. Fuck it, Oh, you got no acid? Well, let's drink a bottle of Robitussin. Like, who does that?
The best night that I remember, well, not even the best night, but the most like awkward trip that I had was at your house in your parents' basement when we did those shrooms.
Yes, I do. I remember that. I totally remember. I remember your face, dude.
I looked at you like, we got to get out of here.
I remember. I totally remember. No, because I know why. Because if I recall, a friend of my parents, their sons died, like got in a bad car accident, and she was telling me this story, and her face was melting.
Oh yeah, right after we ate the fucking caps and everything.
I mean, like, she looked like liquid television, dude. It was just like, and I think I said something like, I'm pretty upset I'm gonna have to go to Mandy's house or something stupid because I was with you.
Yeah.
I think you were dating Mandy, whatever. I'm like, or maybe we were gonna go to Matt's house. Whatever I said, I'm like, we gotta get the fuck out.
Right.
Of here.
But then after that, I remember us walking outside and then everybody being out front.
Yes.
And, totally. then all of a sudden we go into your house and then we get stuck watching Starship Troopers in your fucking basement, dude.
Oh, that's the worst.
Remember that?
That's the worst.
Dude, and I just remember keep looking at you like, dude, we got to go for a walk or something. Like, we got to get the fuck out of here.
That's like when, were you at Barnhills that one time where we were...
Doing blow?
No, we were, well, a lot. we were watching Wizard of Oz and listening to Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, God.
And Steve Anderson walked in. And all of us are tripping balls. I literally was underneath a chair, like all under a chair looking
What's going on?
And he walks in, and I remember like we probably were like, and he's like, "Ooh, I walked in the wrong room." And we're like,
yeah, you did.
"Okay, blow, dude, I gotta come down."
No, I don't know. You weren't there. The night that it sticks out in my brain fucking to this day. It was another Rita night. Everybody was partying at Joe's apartment when we were at Prairie Station that night. And it was the night that we met his neighbors exactly across the hall. It was like Beavis and Butthead across the hall, man. I swear to fucking Christ, dude. This guy had stacks beyond stacks of pornos. It was like if you get stuck in there, that's the last time you're gonna see the light. That's like the aura that you get in there. Like, this guy's gonna kill you. But he's like, yeah, I'm having some friends over and this, that, and the other. And Joe being Joe, he's tripping, fucking, he's having a great time. He's like, oh, come on over. We're having a great time. Fucking, we're having a party. And fucking, we're all tripping balls. And this dude walks in. One of his friends walks in. He's like, all right, normal. Look like a little rat looking guy, especially because when we're tripping balls, everything's accentuated. He had real bad acne on his face. I remember that. And when you're tripping, you're just looking at his acne like, dude, your face is going to explode, just like, yeah. But then all of a sudden there's a knock at the door, And there stood, I swear to fucking Christ, a 6'4" version of Cousin It. He was 6 foot tall, long, straight brown hair, and he had his hat like a fishnet hat like I had, resting like on top of his head, not even on his head like I have it pulled down. He had it resting on top, and he had purple round fucking hippie glasses, and he's got a little 6-pack. He's like, hey man, is this where the party's at, man? And we're fucking like, I don't know, 4 hits in at this point, fucking peaking. And we're all like, you know, like in those sitcoms where like shoulder over shoulder over shoulder, everybody's like hunched around looking over the corner and shit, looking at the wall. And we're all looking at the door and we see this guy and then he says that. It's like, hey man, is this where the party's at? Me, Adam, Rita, and I think it was Josh fall the fuck out laughing balls, dude, at this guy that just fucking walked at the door. We're just like, it's Cousin Ed! We're just like, oh my God, it's Cousin Ed! You know, just... Dude, it was the best night ever, dude, in the apartment.
And that was, but that's why we kept doing it, because we had.
But we had good experiences. There was no bad experiences.
So I remember talking to somebody about that once. Like, I never had, like, Rob Legoo had that bad trip and never came back or whatever.
Somebody else, like, who was it, Jeremiah Bong?
I mean, people had bad trips.
Man.
You know, I never had a bad trip. I never had a bad.
See, I had one.
I never had a bad. Honestly, I don't know if I've had a bad drug experience.
See, really. I had one, and it was due to my brother.
Yeah.
And we were at a UTI party, and I was partying up with his friends and all this kind of shit, and they had some fresh shit. And it was actually a dude that I got my acid from to sell back in the day. He got it from his cousin who was in UIC, who was a chemist. He was always sending him fucking acid.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, we're 2 hits. I'm fucking flying high. I'm peaking, sitting there. I know this dude Baker and Vance and people were around. And it was a night that my mom just busted my brother fucking smoking weed. So my brother walks in. He's all pissed off. He sits down, and he sits down across the table, you know, like you and I. He just sits down. And you just, you know, looking at me like fucking right through me, you know, and being that you're tripping, you know what the fuck's going on right now. You know, you're just like, what's up, dude? You know, and he's just like, yeah, I'd be better if mom just didn't find out that I fucking smoke weed because she found some stems and seeds in my ashtray. But it's not really that bothers me. What bothers me is that somebody fucking decided to have people over and didn't fucking stash or get rid of the fucking 12-pack of the fucking beer that he stashed underneath the stairs that mom found. And it was true. I had friends over. I had Scotty Ladendorf over and the fucking gymnastics team over, and we had beers and shit, and I stashed them under the fucking stairs, and I didn't get rid of them. He took the fall for it.
Oh.
So he was fucking bitching me out. And that's when his buddy, his Vance was his buddy, he just fucking hit him across the shoulder. He's like, Bob. And he's just like, how many are you on? And I'm just like, 2. And right then and there, I clammed up. I shut the fuck up. We were in an apartment where the dining room was, and then you can walk out in the living room and shit. I just stood up from the table. I walked out into the living room, and I sat in the corner of the couch in the fucking dining room where everybody was, and everybody was partying. All of a sudden, the room got to be like this big. In a black space, you know, and it was just like this little bitty light in a black space, and I was just sitting there on the couch, just like, you know. But thank God my brother knew, and he came out and he like brought me out of it.
Yeah.
You know, he came up and he was just like, hey man, he was just like, in hindsight, I'm glad I took the rap for that. I wouldn't even know where to begin if mom found out that you were the one that had that shit. And he's like, just, you know, he started fucking just.
Get you, turn you around.
Yeah, turn the wheels around.
That's the thing about that stuff, man. That'll turn your brain.
Yeah.
You'll quickly go sideways really quick.
Real quick.
All right, another pee break.
Pee break. You want to call it quits? It's 5:45.
Well, do you want to talk about houses at all? I'm gonna text Jenny and see what she wants to do.
Yeah, we can talk about real estate when you get back.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a quick pee break again. So we popped the seal, folks. Sorry. All right. So, but yeah, property. I mean, But yeah, with what I'm dealing with the cabin up north, the local ordinance, it's fucking ridiculous is what it is. I mean, like I said, we paid $350 just to get in front of a panel. And it's a panel of fucking people who, I think there's 6 people, and I don't think their IQ amounts to how many people are in the panel. And all it was all in favor. Can you do me a favor, move that bottle?
Oh, wrong spot.
It's right in your face. But it was just basically a panel of people going, oh, all right, well, we're going to be here for short-term rentals on so-and-so property and blah, blah, blah. All in favor? And it was just I across the board. And then fucking they slammed the guy. I'm like, what the fuck did we come up here for? And then there was a guy that was on the panel that was on the phone. And I guess they're very strict up there. And you can't rent your property for any time less than 7 days.
Yes.
So 6 nights, 7 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We have to rent it more than 6 nights.
Okay.
So that's the stigmata. You two better calm the fuck down. Hey. Sorry, people. and so that, but the more we talk to people and the more people that know about that area sit there and tell us, like, you're not going to worry about that. You know, that's not going to be the issue because that's where people go to vacation in the Midwest. They want to take that week-long vacation up to the Dells and go on the duck boat, rides and go skiing and go tubing and whatever the fuck. And especially in the wintertime with the snowmobiling and the ice fishing and the Cascade Mountain being right there and everything. It's a prime spot.
But it's 7 days, or is it because most times it's the X amount of days a year that can equal it out.
Yes, but we can't have it rented any less than 29 days out of the month.
Oh, God.
That's what the stigmata is. But I'm sitting there, and we sat there, and I'm like talking to the zoning guy. I'm like, how can that be? Because we're under a COVID protocol. You have to allow us at least a day to come in and sterilize for the next person to come in. So he's like, well, it's all in how you advertise it. I'm like, well, if I advertise it as a 6-night stay, that overlaps into 7 days of rental, but they have to be out by 11 o'clock on the 7th day. So therefore,
okay.
You know what I mean?
I'm following you. So, yes, what they're saying is you have to advertise it as such. You don't have to rent it as such.
Yes, we do. They keep a track on it.
How?
Through Airbnb somehow. They sit there, Airbnb up there, I guess, they keep track of the nights rented throughout the weeks of each month. And then they give them like a quarterly tally of how many nights that were rented in the house.
So who's managing this house for you?
We are, for right now. The only person of close contact is the person, like I said, that we became friends with the realtor that we have, and we're still talking to her.
Is the house ready to rent?
Pretty much.
What do you have left?
I have to sand and paint the one wall in my bathroom.
So, if you want, I will you should talk to my old partner. I shouldn't say my old partner because we're still kind of partners. Bailey, he manages, that's what he does, is manages Airbnbs. And he's really good at finding the ways to manage it. Now, of course, he takes a fee for it, but then you don't have to go up there and do it.
Right.
All the booking's done. And then all the licensing is done and all that kind of shit. Because I don't give a fuck what you say about Lake Delton or not. You ain't renting that thing for 300 something nights a year. It's not possible.
No. I mean, no, it's not that. We have to rent it for a minimum of 182 nights.
Okay,
or
there you go.
182 days.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. So there's your. So what we did in Lake Geneva, was we rented. We had a short-term rental, or we had a long-term rental, I should say, from typically end of October, let's call it November 1st, to April 1st.
Sure.
6-month rental. And then we would Airbnb it out and do it again.
Right. Now, is it better to Airbnb or rent? Because I find that I've heard that it's more profitable to Airbnb it because you're charging more per night.
Well, it theoretically it is, but you're going to have a lot more overhead. Like
True.
I say, managing it is you're gonna hate your life if you want to try to manage that fucker yourself. I personally would call the guy that I used to work with, who's great at it. That's what he does. He gets 10%. But if you're making, $5,000-6,000 a month, giving them $500-600 to not worry about shit.
Yeah. I mean, we have to get there to even think about that point. That's the thing, is that I have to get through this freaking licensing process that is fucking.
But that's part of the thing.
Retarded.
He'll do the license process. He'll do all that stuff.
Oh, well, we're already knee deep in it already.
So
because basically all we have to do now is just pay the fee for the license, and we have to figure out who we have to pay it to.
yeah, but once I'll put you this way: the minute that you start to decide that you're doing something, you're going to start eating the mortgage, right?
Right.
So you are you eating the mortgage right now?
Yeah. You
You need to rent it.
That's what we're trying to do.
Period. So like when we started eating the mortgage, we found a long-term rental. Now you're in we're almost in February, so you're probably in the worst spot, because if you get a 3-month rental, I mean, thank your lucky stars.
Not up there.
Yeah.
Not in the winter.
So you're probably going to chew on it. And up there, to be honest, I don't give a fuck what anyone says either. It's May 31st. Your rental time, because I did Lake Geneva.
Right.
Your rental time is Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You got nothing else. You might get a straggler here and there.
Right. You might get something to maybe pay the mortgage for that month.
You might get a straggler here and there, but that's where your nut is there.
Yeah.
Okay. And yes, Airbnb, in all theoretical, is going to net you more, right? However, it depends what your goals are. So, real quick, what I would say, because this is what my goals were and what they turned out to be. So here's my story, right? So I started this fucking shit a couple years ago with a man who shall remain nameless, as much as I want to name him. Well, let's focus on Lake Geneva. Lake Geneva was a nice house, about 5 blocks from downtown. Could walk to the restaurants, can walk to the beach.
Now, is that the one that you required paying for the taxes on this house? Now, how did you acquire that house?
No,
I
so
know there was some sort of way you got that place.
It was a guy that was trying to flip it, and we just took over the mortgage. So we did owner financing, basically.
Okay.
A sub-2, if you will. So the deal was good. I mean, we got that house for $142.
Especially for that area. That's awesome.
It's a small house. It's an old house. It's on a corner lot, but it's a weird lot. So, like, just the side is really the lot. There's nothing behind you. It's just a side lot. The other side is like an alley, okay?
Yeah.
But it's on Center. And Center Street, if you walk south on Center Street, you are in downtown.
Right.
So the location was pretty awesome. But it needed everything.
It needed help.
It was down to the studs. So, again, trying to make a long story short, allegedly spent $45,000 to get it fixed up. A lot of shit went on before we actually were able to get it up on the market. We bought that in June. And actually, I think we closed in May. We didn't get it ready till October, so we chewed on that nut for 4 months. October to May of the next year, I'm sorry, April. October to April the next year, we got a long-term renter in there. Short term, but long-term for that.
Yeah.
That was paying our mortgage and a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't enough to give you a nut.
Yeah. And we still had some stuff to do, but I had gone up there. My mom and my dad had gone up there painting, and I hired my cousin to do trim and carpentry work and all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
It made it look nice. And then the first year so last summer is when we really started that in reality. But we had bought that house in, 2021, right? 22, right? 2021 is when we bought the house.
Was it a slow go at start, or did you find somebody right off the bat?
No, it was really slow going. And even during when we were even done, the June was not that great. July was pretty good, and I even think August was okay. And that's what I'm saying. So now you're fucking scrambling,
Right.
you know, because even if you make 5,000 in June, if you don't make shit in September,
Yeah.
nothing October, nothing November.
Right. That's why you're just basically just nesting everything that you make out of that thing.
So, without getting into the weeds of that one, long story short, what I learned from my investment is that you better have the right partners.
Yeah.
Because my partners suck balls. I ain't lying.
Well, my partner's my girl, and there's no she.
Okay, good.
Dude, she's anal, and she wants to make
My
sure shit's
partner,
gone. And
my partner, who shall remain nameless, stole money and he's being sued by a lot of people.
really,
So you
No way.
make sure you have the right people involved. But what else I learned, if you want to just talk business, what I learned,
did you grow up with him?
no.
No.
But you do know him.
I was gonna say, I'm like, wait a minute.
You do know him. You actually mentioned somebody related to him recently,
Really?
so people can Google that. But anyway,
Google it. I need a beer.
the long of the short of it is though, careful who you're with. So here, this is what I learned, to be honest with you. The short-term rentals are great in certain areas, right? Now, I'm not saying that our rental wouldn't have worked. I think we had a couple things that, embezzlement aside, we had some things going against us that we had to try to work through. But when embezzlement and fraud comes into play,
There's a problem.
we go a different route.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do believe in Lake Geneva. I actually believed in that house. And I would say Lake Dalton is probably similar. But for my taste, what I think is a better route currently is, you know, the market is turning in a strange way. It's just strange. It's not going to be anything like 2008.
No, the
People
prices are going down and the rates are going up.
People are crazy. That's going to be 2008. It's not. So you're still going to be able to find the right value in a buy, right? So if you can put the numbers together, that the buy number, what I'm buying it for, still makes sense.
Yeah.
Then you fucking do it. I don't care if you're paying $500,000 or $100,000.
Right.
The buy makes sense, and you can put the finance together. The buy makes sense, right? If you do all your due diligence. What I found that I think is a better way of doing things, a little longer play, right? But I like the idea of buying a property. And honestly, you're in an area that I would do it. I like Schaumburg. I like Streamwood.
Well, this place is gonna go for rent in April.
So there you go. So I'm never ever selling my house I'm in. I'm fixing it now to rent it at some point.
Yeah.
You know. But I'd like to buy something in, like I said, Schaumburg, Streamwood, you know, Roseville, Keeneyville, that you fix it up, right? Because rents, the disproportionate value of a rent to a mortgage is spread. The spread is getting bigger. Meaning, if you can afford a mortgage, if they will give you the loan for the mortgage,
Yeah.
okay, you're gonna make the person that can't get the loan is gonna have to pay much more than your mortgage,
Right. To secure.
So if I can get a loan for a mortgage and I have to pay $1,500, like right now, right? So now of course I bought that house a couple years ago and I got my rate's spectacular.
Right.
Doesn't really matter.
Me too.
But I could get that loan for that house and I'm paying $1,500 on the mortgage. I guarantee you I can rent in my neighborhood. I can rent that house out for $22.
Yeah.
So that's $700.
I mean, well, basically you break it down to like square footage when it comes down to rent, because I've learned from other people that you basically charge them per square foot is what it boils down to.
Yep.
So like, say like my house is 2,400 square feet, just under. So I'm like, all right, well, if I charge 75 cents a square foot or 80 cents a square foot, that comes out to 2,000 a month. My mortgage is nowhere near that because, like you said, I got the VA loan, number one, so I got the fucking mortgage rate that's, locked in at 3.25. So I'm stuck there, which is great because fucking mortgage rates are over 6 right now. So it's like fucking
Yeah.
So I'm in the position where I can't lose, So either because I'm renting it to somebody that we know, so I'm gonna give them a break and just be like, all right, well, you're just gonna pay this and just enough for me to make a couple $100 a month, nothing to fucking boast about. But if it was somebody else, I could easily rent this place for $2,200 a month.
But what you got to remember again, what I would tell people and what I've told people is that to me what the value of a house is. If I can make, like I said, my mortgage, we'll just call it $1,500 for easy math, right?
Sure.
And I rent it for $2,000. So now I got $500 cash flow.
Right, residual money.
Okay.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't use that fucking cash flow if you don't have to.
Nope.
Not in that first house, for sure.
No.
Now, if you have 20 properties that are flowing 500, okay, now we're in a different tax bracket here. Now, now you're talking 120 grand a year cash flow.
Right.
Now you're talking about rental portfolios.
Right.
That's where I would like to get to.
Me too.
But the only way to get there, right, is if I can rent a house that's giving me $500 cash flow every month, and I can put that to the side, and the water heater breaks or whatever, I have that to put it back in there. Hopefully everything goes great, and a year goes by, okay? And now I don't have a lot, but I got $6,000. $6,000 sitting there.
Right.
Maybe I save some more money. Now you also have a house that the
value went up.
The value went up, and you didn't pay a goddamn thing into it.
No.
Right? So now your equity is higher.
Right. But see, now that's where people mention like HELOCs and everything like that, and I don't know if I want to put.
Why not? If you take a loan off a HELOC, okay, now you are securing it on the house that you don't live in.
Right. They're paying for that HELOC. Yeah, I know.
Well, the loan is being secured on the house that you took the HELOC on.
Right.
So the risk is that house.
Right.
Right. Okay. But you could take the HELOC out, and let's say you can get $50,000 out of there.
Sure. Then you can put it toward another couple of houses.
Buy another house. Do the same thing.
Yeah.
Now you got 2 houses. End of that year, you got $12,000 sitting there, or $24,000, depending.
Right.
How you did things. Hot water here broke, whatever, you're fine. You
or if you have everything brand new and you got
and
everything
now you
moved in
have
there.
2 houses plus your house that's worth X.
Yeah.
So now maybe you can get a $100,000 loan.
Now, do you have this lumped under one company? Do you put this under an LLC and just keep rolling it into it?
Mm-hmm.
See, but I'm not doing that with this place because the thing is that I found out through fucking the county and the main dude at the building and zoning is that developers are looking at this area right here, this stretch on Gary. They want to redo this whole area.
I believe that.
And he straight up told me, hold on to your property because developers are looking at this property. They already bought 2 lots up the way.
But to me, anything that you.
But I'm going to be renting it.
Yeah.
But
don't ever get rid of it.
No, I'm not going to get rid of it. But it's for the simple token of the matter of the developers are offering up to $2,250 a square foot of land
Today.
and I'm on an acre.
What about 10 years from now?
Right, but what about 4 years from now?
What about 20 years from now?
But it ain't going to be that long. That's the thing is that I have a short-term process of what's going to happen here. Within the next 5 to 10 years, this house is going to be gone.
Yeah, but here's what I'm trying to tell you. My point is this, right?
Now, how do you get around capital gains? That's what I want to know.
You have to 1031 it. You have to exchange 1031. Matt Vandermolen is the king of that.
Really?
You have to exchange the 1031 because if you don't do that, then you are subject to
Capital
gains tax on it.
Right.
But if you take this let's say in a couple years you decide to sell it because it's the right thing to do. That's fine.
Sure.
And whatever. Again, let's do simple math. You owe $100,000, and you sell for $400,000. So you have $300,000 in capital gains.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's a fucking lot.
Yeah.
You're basically getting half. But if you take that $300,000 and you put it into another real estate venture,
Right.
nothing.
Right.
So that's what you do. Now, my example before, we started with one house, right? We got a loan for a second house, right?
Sure.
Now we got a loan for a third house. Fine. We're using other people's money, by the way.
Right.
You didn't have to take anything out of your pocket. You're taking the equity of your house.
See, but the only money that we had out of pocket was on his first house.
That's typically how it's got to be, but
Right.
you're not have to do that ever again.
No.
And now the guy comes in to whatever house it is, and now you have a $300,000 windfall. Okay. You can either take that $300,000 and make it $150,000, or you can take that $300,000 and make it $600,000.
Yeah.
Right? You can pass that to your kids. You can pass that to nobody. Go buy a house in Florida. I don't give a fuck what you do.
Right.
You don't want to give it to the government.
Right.
Right. So you're using what they call a 1031 exchange. What you have to do is use that money and put it into another real estate venture. There are some rules on it.
But it has to be like profitable gains or something like that, right? It has to be involved with that.
Well, it has to be a real estate venture, and you could put it into a commercial loan if you want. You can go buy.
Well, aren't they all commercial loans when it comes down to this? Because you're buying it under an LLC, and
You can do commercial loans. It's another ball of wax. It really comes on the institution you use to do the loan. Commercial loans are more beneficial because they're typically lower rates with different terms. Well, it's typically different terms is what I should really say.
But really different terms. I mean, it was surprising because like the cabin that we have, it's a quaint little cabin. It's right across the street from Lake Delton. You know, it's lake view, not lake front. You know,
Okay.
so, but in that community, it's very restrictive on how they manage everything and how I don't understand how they do it. And that's why I'm getting frustrated with the whole process of getting this thing freaking rented. But at the same token, I bought this place to where we can go to and everything else like that be, a little
But
getaway.
I think that's the second move.
Right. That is the second move when we acquire that second property.
Correct.
But it's getting this rented is the fucking issue.
It's by far the worst part.
It's that first house is the pain in the ass.
So here, I'll
man.
tell you a quick story about my. So I've had a couple nightmares with the man who shall remain nameless. And I guess I'll have to wrap it on this one. But the man who shall remain nameless, I went on properties with him twice. First property was in Fox Lake,
Yeah.
right off Route 59. Kind of dump, but that's a very blue collar area. So we weren't doing Airbnb. We were doing long term rentals.
Sure.
1 year lease. Blah blah blah.
Sure.
So I went there, and it's kind of a dump. It wasn't that great. It was 2 bedrooms.
Great investment.
But again, it was owner financed. We didn't have a big nut. $900 was our nut.
Yeah.
We could rent it for $12. I think we rented it for $12.50. The first renter. So I went there, put carpet in, redid the cabinets. Just did a lot of odds and ends, painted some walls and shit. Got the renter in there. Renter was good. Renter did a year lease. Didn't have a lot of problems. About 9 months in, decided he was going to move.
Yeah.
And he was within his rights, and now this is COVID, right? So we didn't have a lot of leeway. He had to pay his lease up to his lease, but we didn't have a lot of leeway on other shit, right? So we basically made nothing, because we replaced stuff, right? So we were basically taking the money and just putting it back into what we did.
Yeah.
Right. So didn't really lose any money. We didn't make any money. Like best case scenario, you broke.
You
even.
pushed, yeah.
It was a push. But a year in, and we were able to pay the guy, but we didn't make any spread on the payment. You know what I'm saying? So like if we have a $900 payment, but I'm getting $1,250, we had to put all that extra $350 back.
Yeah.
Because we had to repaint the shit. That's the catch. When you lose a renter, now you have to repaint. You know, like kids put a booger on the wall.
Yeah, or smokers or whatever. Yeah.
Carved up the fucking countertops, and the oven broke. We had to replace the oven. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So you got that. So then we get a second renter. She was a fucking nightmare, an absolute fucking nightmare.
Government aid or no?
No, she passed all the things, man. She good references, had a 20-year job with the police department. Like, I mean, it was great.
Huh.
I don't know.
There's no good cops out there.
6 months in, 6 months in, if that, we're not getting rent, and again, you can't do anything about it. In COVID days, you can't do nothing about it.
No, because of the
There's no evictions.
Yeah.
So we're getting no rent, and we can't do shit about it. So now we're in the whole 900, 1,800. You know.
See, and that's where Airbnb now is profiting, because they lifted that clause.
Yes.
That squatter's clause.
So they did. So we were in the whole, I think 4 months rent. So I'm in the whole $3,600, right?
Yeah.
And finally they lift it, so we're able to evict her. But now it takes a while to evict, so now we're in the whole $4,500. So let's call it $5,000. We're in the hole.
Yeah.
In the whole $5,000. Finally, I get in there, and I'm with the man who showed me endless, and I'm going through the house. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'm like, kind of smells weird in here. You know,
Is that piss?
we go in the back. We go in the back, and it's just like fucking beer bottles, and it's right by the river. And there's shit in the river. And I'm like, dude, these guys fucking trashed everything. The gutters are fucking falling off. It was terrible.
Jesus.
And it was cold. I remember it was about April of last year. It was one of those weird days where it was cold.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it was cold that day. It was 30 degrees or something. So I turned the furnace on. And it was like, brrr, making this weird noise. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, furnace in the crawl space. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, fuck, okay.
Fuck.
So I go to the laundry room, and there's like this access panel. And I look where the water softener is, and it's unconnected. Completely unconnected. There's nothing going there. And I'm like, pretty sure this was copper, wasn't it? He's like, yeah. I'm like,
No.
so then I lift up the access panel. I look down there, and the crawl space is flooded.
Flooded.
I mean, flooded. There's a shoe floating.
Yeah.
You know, literally a shoe was floating underneath it. I'm like,
Is that my Converse?
I'm like, oh my God. And all the copper. They stole all the copper out too.
Jesus.
So basically what happened was, in the winter, she stopped paying her heat.
Yeah.
Pipe
Pipes
burst, flooded it, and they said fuck it, and they just ripped the copper out and took off.
Nice.
And
Well,
then
at least they got
finally
something
we were
out of
able to
it.
get in there, and they'd probably been gone for 2 months or a month. And when we finally were able to legally access the property.
Oh my God.
So it wasn't a lot of fun.
So you had a new houseboat.
Yeah. So
Well, see, I had the similar thing at mine. I don't even know what the fuck happened, because when we got the new washer and dryer that we had up there, the guy that built the place, or I want to say flipped it, the laundry room looks like to me like it was an exterior shed that was added to the side of the house. It was like an attached shed that the guy cut a hole out through the exterior wall, put a door in through it for a laundry room. That's what it looked like. And we took the door off, got everything new installed, and all of a sudden fucking the hot and cold connections on the washer, damn dogs, cracked and burst, and fucking water started spewing. We didn't know anything about it until we saw an email in the business account saying, from the water department up in Lake Delton, like, hey, there's an excessive use of water in your house. There's 720 gallons that have fucking leaked out. Now, Bear in mind, it's a 700 square foot cabin. So I'm like, fuck, man, that place is underwater. I'm like, fuck, I'm expecting the worst when she told me that. We immediately dropped everything, went up there like fucking 5 o'clock at night, 2.5 hour drive, didn't give a shit. We're just like, we got to go see. Get in there. Thank God that there was a lip on the floor. It was like a little curb on the floor in the doorway that kept the water at bay. And there was a hole in the wall and on the floor in this laundry room. Because like I said, it was like a shed converted into a room. It wasn't really built that well, thank God, because it all went through the floor, all the water. But when we got up there, there was 2 inches. There was like 1.5 inches of water because of the curb and the doorway kept it back. So it didn't get into the house, thank God, because it was on that exterior wall. So it had that exterior freaking siding and everything else holding that water back from getting into the house. And we're like, fucking thank God. But it was just the laundry room that got wet, So now I got to go up there this Thursday and fucking deal with that shit. Because we got Maytag, and my girl put in a complaint saying that it caused damage, And it did. All the paneling and all the fucking shit that was up there that it was real cheap fucking shit that this guy did. This guy did a half-assed job.
It's tough, man, because my opinion of what I've learned from my 2 ventures here. So I'm novice.
Well, obviously, partner is number one.
Partner is number one.
Point 1, point 2, and
So,
3.
Again, a very quick synopsis without throwing the guy under the bus, and I want to, is he has multiple properties, and everybody I've talked to, and I'm not partners with all of them. I'm only partners in a couple, but some of the partners are partners in other ones. So I've talked to those guys, and there is absolutely embezzlement and fraud going on. So a pretty large Ponzi scheme is happening.
Peace,
So if I can, and I've been able to scrape some money back, if I can get my money back completely, I'm gonna just
do your own venture, man.
Be happy and move on. But my own venture, to be blunt, would be I think value in blue collar suburbs in Chicago.
Yeah.
Like I said, Streamwood, Schaumburg, this area. Really, this area right here is I do like. You can go into Elgin, you can go into Aurora, but I'm more. I really like Streamwood. I like Schaumburg. Because they're still close to the city, and
see, I was looking at Elgin when I first started into this.
Elgin, Aurora, and Joliet are going to be crapshoots because you're going to have Section 8.
Well, it's not even the Section 8ers that you worry about. It's the condition of the house that you're getting when you're out there.
That's my part. That's my second part. Is I think so. My partner talked me into half-assing shit. And I had to hire my cousin to finish stuff.
Yeah.
So my approach is now going to be, first of all, you have to get the value of the buy, right? So if you have a house that they're listing at $200,000, okay,
Yeah.
you do it for $200,000. You look at the house and you go, okay, I want to rent this house out because I know what my mortgage is going to be, right? So I'm going to I have to get a $300,000 loan,
Yep.
and my mortgage is going to be $2,000. Okay.
At least.
All right. So I'm all in for $300,000.
Sure.
I need to put $100,000 in the house. Well, now I need to make, you need to
X
make
amount of dollars per month
you need
to
to make
meet
20% on top of that thing, right?
Right.
So now you're at $2,400 that you want to rent it at. You can't put in wood paneling and a shitty floor and get $2,400.
Yeah, no.
You got to do some good stuff, right?
You got to make it look at least like it's modernized.
Make it modern, right?
Yeah.
Get a $2,500 rent, okay? And to me, that means that you're hiring somebody to do that shit. I'm not doing it. I don't want to waste my time.
See, but that's where the difference between you and I come in. Is
If
that
you
I will
like
do
doing
it.
that stuff, great. I don't want to do it because to me, I can look for the next house.
Yeah.
I have to worry about getting the renter in there. I have to worry about proper managing of that property.
See, but here's the difference between your situation
And I
mine.
want to get that fucker off the ground. I
Yeah.
want to hire somebody that's done in 3 weeks, and this place is done, and it's on
right.
the market.
And that's where the difference is that lies in between your partnership and mine, is because I have the exact opposite of kind of partner that you have. She wants to keep everything by the book. She wants to make sure that everything is fucking done, number one, and cost effectively. If we have to pay somebody to do it, she's more than willing to fucking do it, just like whatever, pay somebody to do it. But my dumb ass, I'm starting to show that I'm fucking more handy than I should be. You know what I mean? So I mean, but
think about here.
But
all I'll say is that if you look at your cost value,
right, but that's where we're weighing it towards right now at the beginning, because we're in a situation to where she makes pretty good money what she does. Okay, she really does. She's living in a much better house. That's why I'm going out to Bartlett and I'm renting this place. She makes pretty good money. I'm going to make enough money for myself to where I can cover for whatever I need, but I want to be able to cover this business for us to build. Yeah, so, and that's where the agreement is, that where we're at, is that if anything happens up there, I'm taking off and I'm going up there.
The business has to cover the business. So
our
friend Matt Vandermolen makes substantially more money than us, right?
Sure.
And if he wanted to, he could have covered all these band losses and we could have just kept going.
Right.
That's fucking stupid.
Right.
That's stupid business. If the business isn't profitable on its own, it's not profitable on its own. One house can be way more profitable than the other house.
Sure.
Okay, and that might tie into the business. But you got to figure out why this house that's shitty isn't as good as this house and make them both profitable. So I guess my point is, what I want to do with Lake Geneva is this, right? So we had
cutting it close. already plucking the cords with the woman.
I want to wrap it up on this though, for real.
Right,
so
cool.
What I wanted to do with that house in Lake Geneva was that?
That was the dog farting.
There you go. That's perfect cue. What I wanted to do with that, what I wanted to do with that house was I wanted to, we bought that house, and I actually brought Eric Young up there to. I
think you remember him telling me.
I wanted him to do the whole thing, and I had a budget. I was told I had a budget for it, and my budget was $40,000. And I told Eric, and Eric's like, "Man, it's gonna be tight." And there was a lot of problems. There was some shit that was going on with that house. There were some things. The roof was a little fucked up.
Structural and shit?
No, the roof was a little messed up. It was plaster walls. It was all down to the fucking studs. Like, yeah, there's a lot of work. And plus, he's in fucking Glendale Heights.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot to it. And he's like, "Look, Kelly." I'm like, "Dude, if you can't do it, I get it." But he's like, "I can't do it for 40. He's
Right.
like, "It's probably more like 45. I'm like,
Closer to 50, I would say.
yeah, and he's like, "But let's work something out, whatever." But if I recall, it was 45.
Okay.
But he was pretty candid, like, "But we don't really want to do it because it's too far,
Right.
and we'd have to go up there and stay for a week, and the cost for them was more."
Right.
So he's like, "You probably could go a different route." I'm like, "Okay, fine." So then I talked to the man in Sherman Lameless, and he decides that we're gonna get it done for 20. And I'm like, "You're out of your fucking mind." Which is where the embezzling fraud comes in.
By what Jethro and fucking told.
But if I could have got somebody to do that house inside the budget and get it done, because I asked Eric, and he's like, "We can get it done in 3 weeks."
Yeah. But if they have to stay up there.
It doesn't matter. If it's done, if I'm here in June and I get it up by July 4th, I have 2 more months. Sorry, July, August. I have 3 months of rent coming in that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
So sure, I paid $40,000.
And then on top of that.
What's the payoff here, right? So if I went another 3 months, right? So those months cost me, I would say, $5,000 a month each. Up there, $5,000 a month each.
Yeah.
That's $15,000. Was it worth it or not?
Yeah.
Right. I didn't have to do shit.
Yeah.
I don't got to go up there. Hired somebody else to do it. Gets done. We can do all the managerial stuff. We can get all make sure everything, marketing is ready to go, and the minute it's done, here we go.
But is there any backlash on top of that you have to deal with?
No, well, that's what I'm saying. The way I would do things, the way I want to do things is exactly like I said. I want to buy a house for the right value.
Right.
Understand how much I have to put into it to flip it into a rental, and hire someone to do it. And I want it done in X.
See, but and if you
know
go
it's
into it
about
looking
all
like
that.
that, you're gonna end up spending 20 to 30 grand as you go into it, because most houses
but
nowadays, what people look at are kitchens and bathrooms.
But it's still math. It's still math.
Yeah.
If you're in the budget for it, who fucking cares?
Right.
It's still math.
And
It's
if you're
all-
renting it out and you're getting it on top of it, you shouldn't care
That's
about
why
the interest on top of it.
when I
either.
talk to people, we'll end it on this. When I talk to people about this stuff and everything I read, it's all about the buy. It's all about what you buy it for. So you can walk away.
Yeah.
If this guy wants to sell for 200 grand and you can't make money unless you buy it for 100, fuck him. Who cares?
Yeah.
That's all. I don't care. He needs to sell for 2. That's his business.
Right.
Some people will sell it for 1,
Right. Some people won't.
and that's that.
Well, fucking A.
So
Do you got any social media shit that people want to know, that you want people to know about?
not anymore.
Not after tonight.
I will come back another day and we'll update the social media stuff.
Right on. Well, that's it for tonight. And that's my buddy Kelly Quinn. And thanks y'all for fucking tuning in. Peace.
Peace.
I've been waiting to say this all year, and I'm gonna say it.
It's that time again.
Get the stepping.
We gotta say goodnight.
Don't leave until I put you out. Get out!
You know it's getting late.
Get out!
Tomorrow is another day,
Well, if you knew it, get to going.
my friend.